Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Octane Online Racing, Simrigs.com Sprint Series, round 6 of 8 from the Hungaroring, as I like to call it, the Hungary Ring, in Hungary. Funny that. This is, of course, a split blue and thread red this evening for the Asia Pacific region. I am Sean Muller, and joining me in the box is the one and only Lindsay Muddle. Top of the evening, sir.
Oh, yeah, hello, and I am glad to be here, and it is going to be an interesting night of action here. Wet weather around the Hungaroring. It is going to be a tricky one for all of the drivers out there.
100%. It is moister than Oklahoma in tornado season. There is weather, lots of moisture, and lots of rain. So it is going to be a full wet race. 60 minutes tonight and one mandatory stop. So we're going to see maybe a bit of strategy play out as well, as we are in qualifying at the moment, as we jump on board with the one and only Matt Lamb. And yes, everyone, that is Matt Lamb in a McLaren. Wow. Don't know what to say.
Yeah, I don't even remember what car he was in. I'm never normally racing him here up the front, because obviously normally I am racing, but I don't have a sim rig set up, much like last week, which is why I was also joining you at Paul Ricard. But speaking of Paul Ricard, it was a chocolate round there, and we have a rerun of it for this round. So we should see some more chocolate liveries out there tonight.
Excellent. Yep. Plenty of chocolate. So I have a good old conversation about that. Of course, Matt Lamb is a Porsche fanatic. But I did hear rumblings that he was thinking of changing cars. So it'll be interesting to see how he does go on the McLaren. What's he got? Oh, yeah, it's a bit of a laundry house balk delivery. I like it. That's pretty interesting. Nice work there from Matty Lamb. Of course, got a championship to keep an eye on as well. It is Austin McNeil leading the way from Joshua Holmes. And of course, in third position is Breno Ellis. Fourth is JC. Fifth is Logan Burton, who is our top silver class driver. Then Ashley Johnson and Eshan Lele are your second and third in silver. In Pro-Am, it's Josh McLaughlin leading the way from Neil Wood and Ashley Rediger. And then in Am class, it is Joe Williams from Giles, Stratford, and Tim Kung is your top three in Am. So it should be a good race tonight. Championship-wise, look, I think Austin's going to be really hard to beat from here.
Yeah, obviously he had a really strong round at Paul Ricard. He wasn't fighting up the front for a lot of it. He was recovering, but he made some champion-like moves and got it done and ended up near the front towards the end of it, which just helped him gain even more points. So I think that he is going to be very hard to contest.
Definitely. As Holmes there just went into first for literally a moment, and then Breno Ellis just went, yep, I'll be taking some of that, thank you. And here is our championship leader at the moment, who hasn't set a lap yet. Now, we did see this last week as well. He did struggle in qualifying, but he, as you were saying, just made some mega moves in the race to really minimise that points damage. And to be fair, at the end of the round, he was actually extending his points lead. So he's putting together a really good season here, Austin. I've been watching him drive for a bit, and this is the best I've seen him drive. So big hats off to him in the Lambo as well. As we are here. So 7 minutes remaining in qualifying. Big welcome to all of chat. Hope you are well. Hope you are having a fantastic Thursday evening. Got some interesting facts about this track actually as well. So we'll definitely relay them throughout the day. As Austin now goes in the first position with a 51.6, if you don't mind. That's a great lap. But Ellis now is 0.6 up on his best lap here. So these two are actually going to throw down with each other in qualifying. So he's got
Yeah. Oh, sorry. No, I thought you. No,
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, the Porsche of Ellis is going to have a tricky time out there, obviously, as we see Reynolds go P1 with a 51.3 in the Mercedes of all cars at a track like the Hungaroring. Might just be a bit more suited to the wet weather, but the Porsche is already hard to drive in the dry. The Lambo is typically a bit more planted to the ground. Ellis has work cut out in front of him as we see Matt Lamb go P1, and I can't quite see the lap time, but it was a low 51, I believe. Yeah, 51.030, so
Jeez.
yeah, as close as you can get to not be in the 150s.
So he can change cars, but the pace is still there from Matt Lamb. Incredible lap. Here is Reynolds at the moment on screen, currently in second position. How he's getting that Merc around this track, I've got no idea. And he's actually 0.2 up here, so this could be close to pole. As he comes through turn, we're just going to guess there. I reckon that's probably turn 9. Turn 11.
I can tell you that it is turn 8.
There you go. I went around that mark.
Yeah.
0.2 up. 0.3 up. He's found time here in the final turn. Oh, this is going to be very close now. Now into this tricky second last corner. Feels like this corner goes on forever. You've just got to be so smooth with your throttle input. And it's a little punch into the final turn. This reminds me of Queensland Raceway, actually, the way that turn's configured. He's going to be super close. He's going to go to the top. Just misses out. 0.107 off Lamb's time. But that's a great lap from Reynolds. And that already sets up a pretty good race as we look back here at Logan Burton, our silver class championship leader at the moment.
Yeah, he is flying out there, 0.6 up on his lap time. That'd make him pop himself up into the top 5 if he keeps it up, and there's still a corner to go as he rounds turn 14 now. Heavy on the anchors in the boat of a Mustang. It must feel pretty at home in these wet weather conditions, but it's actually not because it doesn't corner that well. So it's a boat that doesn't like to turn, and a 51.4 for Burton, P3. So your silver class leader looking very comfortable as we see the Caramello Koala Aston Martin of Johnston out there, and he is now rounding the final corner for a 0.3 improvement. It was a mega final corner according to his Delta, and he's going to set a 1 minute 51.3 and go P3 in the Aston for the moment.
Great lap there from Johnston in the Caramello Koala. Promise that is all I'll sing this evening. Looking back here at Ellis at the moment in that gorgeous Logitech Porsche. One of my personal favourites on the grid. You just tell by the Porsche though. It's good in the wet, don't get me wrong. It is a good car in the wet. But you've really got to drive it on that razor's edge to get the most out of it. When you get it right, it feels amazing. When you get it wrong, hello, Barry R.
Yeah, and that's typically how it goes with the Porsche, and the wet conditions in general are very, very tough as he just drives over the chicane because he is not on a proper lap, at least according to the Delta, but I don't particularly believe it, as it does look like he's pushing very hard. He is also right up behind Burton, so he's got to be careful not to close too far in. That's one of the tricky parts of qualifying in the dry, let alone in the wet. You've really got to be able to base yourself out, especially at a small track like Hungary. Just look at the track map on the left-hand side there. There is no breathing room out there.
Absolutely none. It's one of those, you're always turning either left or right. You've got this short straight, which is, let's be honest, you don't even reach top gear. So it's a very busy racetrack. And actually in Formula One, it's one of the most physical tracks as well. A lot of drivers say it's really hard on the body. As Alice now is going to start his flying lap here. Currently in 8th position, needs to find 0.6. So look back here at Matthew Lamb, who is up on his Delta here. So, oh, geez, the McLaren does not like that. You could just see his bleeding time now. Did not like that at all. The thing with the McLaren, it's such a aero-sensitive car. Any sort of movements like that, and it just bleeds time. Testing, good test, solid. As McLaren just gets the back out there a little bit. Just stepped out a little bit. He caught the slide beautifully, but he's, again, bleeding time, but then he's gaining a little bit of time there on corner exits. This is going to be super tight here with Reynolds to nab that pole position. Oh, slides it out there. Lovely little bit of car control there from Matthew Lamb. We've come to expect this. His car control is next level. This guy is a pro esports driver. Jump back on board now. Listen to this McLaren sing. Oh, look at that. Just the wheel work is excellent here. How deep does he want to break it in here? He actually breaks a little bit earlier so he can carry maximum corner speed. And he does gain a little bit of time. 0.06 there. Again, just feathering it around this corner. Really important now. Drive traction is everything here. He gets a little bit of good acceleration. He is dropping time though, but it might be enough for the top. It is at 50.9. What a lap from Matthew Lamb.
The first person to get into the 50s of this session. Reynolds and McNeil chasing tail very quickly behind. McNeil already a 10th up on his lap time as he heads up the hill. The quick left-hander, dip it now in to the right. Do not get on that inside curb, otherwise you will have some major problems. And then just smooth on the throttle out to the exit. This is where we saw Matthew Lamb have his little moment. And now into the chicane, keeping the rear end under check. A bit of a mid-corner slide, and you can see bleeding lap time. He's nearly 2/10 up. Now he's about even as we head now through turn 8. Flick it across through turn 9. Get it to the apex, and is now a 10th up just about. This won't be enough if the delta is correct, but still a critical couple of corners to go left in what will be McNeil's final qualifying lap in this session. Will he be able to make any inroads on Reynolds or Lamb? We'll have to see as he breaks down to second gear, tip it in nice and comfortably. Make sure to keep the car under check. As you can see, the Valvoline Ferrari just up the road, hopefully causing no issues for McNeil, and I doubt it, as they are also on a flying lap, and there's a big exit wobble there for McNeil. The Lambo not treating him kindly in this final run when he's just tried to give it a bit more push, and now he heads out of the final corner. What's it going to be to the line? According to the Delta, it's dead even. What is it actually going to be? It is basically dead even. It's a 1:51.3, I believe it was. And now Reynolds, will he be able to snatch pole back? Reynolds is only 500ths behind. It's looking like he can. The Mercedes to the line, a 1:50.790, and that gives him pole for the moment. But Lamb strikes back. 5/10 up as he rounds the final corner. Will he be able to snatch it away when Reynolds thought he had it in the dying stages of this qualifying session? A 1:50.4. What a lap from the McLaren.
That is a knife to the heart to everyone. That was stunning from Matthew Lamb. We've seen it many times before. He's a bit of a master of the clutch lap, but that was a huge lap. That was mega. No one's touching that, but here is Josh Holmes, currently in 12th, so he's got to find something a bit special here. This might get him in the 10. It's going to be very close. As he bleed time on the exit, we've seen so many. Oh, that was very interesting. Goes up to 7th, but that could have been disaster. As we're looking here at Webb, currently in 17th in the Channel 9 Camaro. It goes up to 12th. Nice lap from Webb. That's actually a really nice lap. Here is Thistlewaite. What can Ferox do? Currently in 17th and goes in 17th. Top job. So that is qualifying, run and done. But Matthew Lamb, wow, what a lap. That is unbelievably quick. 0.3 better than everyone else. But as we know, qualifying is one thing. Racing is a completely different thing altogether. And we've got some liveries to look at. Excellent. Also, big thank you to David and Connor. That's really nice of you to say. Thanks, legends. Hope you are doing well. So, liveries. Caramello Koala. Yes, yes. They are so good, Caramello Koalas.
Yeah,
They are the best.
they really are.
Now, just want to see if you see. Oh, here you go. Look at this for an Easter egg, though. Nutritional information on the back as well.
Oh yeah. Right, I didn't expect to see that on the back of the car. All the information you need to know about a Caramello Koala. So we now head further down the Valvoline Aston Martin, showing its face again. A beautiful livery that is. And now the Logitech Mustang. Then our Paul Ricard, race winner of race 1 and P2 in race 2. Nathan Monk's there on the left with his very beige-looking livery. Well, not beige is not the right word, but a bit of a bland livery. He needs to get one sorted out. And then the second of the two Valvoline cars is the stunning Aston Martin there on the left. I really like that livery with the purple there. And then you have the 9 Sports Bentley, and then you have the Pocky livery making a return. And it's still bright red as ever, and I'm sure that will stand out as we head through the first couple of laps. And then the twirl livery, my personal favourite, but that's because I couldn't get my twirl livery out there on the track tonight, so it's good to see somebody supporting the same chocolate as me. Then you have the disgusting Turkish Delight livery. Yuck. That's all you have to say about that. And the Nissan GTR in the wet, not nice as that's where you get a bit of the camera director there, just showing his love for the Turkish Delight. Peanut Slab, again, we saw it at Paul Ricard. Still nice as ever. And now, as we're heading through the final couple of cars on the grid, nothing showing just yet. A couple of plain ACC livery. Then you have that Ferrari. It's the Italian stripes, but not a chocolate livery. The Coke livery on the Ferrari, and then Aero.
Yes.
Aero
Peppermint
on the right.
Aero Mustang. You so go top of the tree. That is awesome. And look at the bubbles on the side as well. That's very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, that is a nice livery. And now we see, what is that?
Polywaffle.
Polywaffle. Yeah. Had to read it there. I've actually never heard of Polywaffle, so.
That tells you right there, everyone. That's Lindsay's age right there.
And then you have the beautiful Sebastian Vettel tribute Aston Martin livery, which it looks so nice. I really like it. I rate it. But now we head on to the formation lap.
We do, and I was just noticing a lay down the back of me. I believe that is a qualifying ban being served. I'm sure someone will correct me, and I'm pretty sure that's what it is, as we do head out on track. Now, wet conditions, it's going to rain the whole race, so put the slip tyres back in the transporter. We won't need them. Really going to be intriguing, actually, how this plays out. Considering the wet tyre does last pretty well, it's a pretty durable tyre. Tyre wear is not really going to be an issue. So strategy, I still think it'll play a part, but I don't think it's going to play as big a part as we do see in some of our drier and longer races.
Yeah, I would happen to agree, because I feel like nobody's going to take tyres. They can definitely go the hour, so I think we'll just see splash and dash for fuel at the midway point, or maybe even some people will try cut it as late as they possibly can. But that is for us to find out, I guess.
Oh, that's right. That's the great part about racing, the great unknown. But Matthew Lamb, he's going to lead them away. It's something we've become very used to. The only difference is he's in a different car now. He's in a McLaren. As I said, really intrigued to see how he goes in the Macca. as we watch the whole field come through. Some fantastic liveries, some great cars as well. Of course, a big shout out does go to our amazing livery makers who do an outstanding job of all these, as they do line up in double file now. And I am actually going to hand it over to you, Lindsay. You can have the start this week.
Oh wow, my first start here in Sprints Comms. Thank you very much, Sean. So, as we head through the final sector, it's going to be Matthew Lamb leading the way, with Reynolds alongside him in the Mercedes, who was looking on for pole before Matthew Lamb took it away. Lamb in a new car, as we covered, and it takes guts to go for a new car in a wet weather round. It's really the test of your cars. There's a bit of a car park going on up the back there, but now we get ready to start. We round turn 14 on the formation lap, and it is all going to be about how Matthew Lamb takes this one away. Reynolds will put on all the pressure he can. The Mercedes normally pretty good off the jump, but the McLaren isn't too bad either. So, as we head underneath the lights to get ready to go, when does Lamb decide to take us away? We are going. It just took a while to pick up the speed. The wet makes it a bit harder, but now Reynolds already attacking as we head to turn 1. Around the outside goes the Mercedes. He tries to get the power down on the exit. There's a couple of 3 wide moments there. Up the back, everybody getting through quite unscathed, but Reynolds isn't giving this one up yet. As we head down into turn 2, Reynolds late on the brakes. There's wheel rubbing already. Not major contact, but minor contact between the two, fighting for the lead already as we head through the right. Lamb has to back out of it a bit, has to clobber over the curb, which we've seen previously the McLaren is not a fan of, and that looks like it's going to be Reynolds taking the lead as we head up the hill into the single file section, and hopefully everybody decides to keep it single file, as it was a great move from Reynolds to keep his car in the right place at the right time to get that one done for the lead, and he has just now got to try pull away as much as he can. Following in the wet is a lot harder than leading in my personal experiences, so Lamb has his work cut out for him, but Reynolds in the Mercedes is going to be suffering with understeer for sure, especially in these wet conditions. You can just see it there through turn 8 and turn 9. Lamb all over the back of him here as we go on board, and we're heading towards the end of the first lap already. You got to say, Reynolds made quick work of it.
Certainly did. That was a great move there from Reynolds, and did what he needed to do, get track position. Track position is 100% king around here. So Matt Lamb's going to get the thinking cap on here and try and work out what he's going to do. But these two are just starting to skip away already from the field. Definitely the class of the field so far. Oh, he gets a little taily there on the exit. McNeil in 3rd, Johnson 4th, Ellis 5th, Holmes in 6th. Nice start there from Holmes. Appreciato in 7th, who's looking very quick in that Aston. Burton, McKellar and Monks are your 10 at the moment as we finish our first lap. So we head down the main straight now, heading down towards turn 1 for the second time. Look at that McLaren, just so beastly on the brakes. And the Merc takes 10 years to stop. So watching this now, of course, I will keep an eye on the background. But here we go. We've got a replay here. Oh dear, what's happening? That's Thistleweight going around. And he's got to watch the whole field drive by. Oh, I thought there was going to be something worse there, but thank God there wasn't. Let's look at this though. Lamb now really putting the pressure on Reynolds. But this is the whole problem here with Hungary. There is absolutely nowhere to pass. All Reynolds has to do is place that car in the right spot, and Matthew Lamb is not getting past anywhere.
Yeah, for sure. The Mercedes is very good at defending as well, because it loves to go in a straight line. So if Lamb wants to get this done, he's going to either have to get creative or get an amazing final corner, as we see a mistake there from Lamb on the exit of the chicane. Just too much of the second inside curb, and it bounced him off towards the grass, and that allows Reynolds to just breathe a bit, a little bit of space for him to work with. I'm sure Lamb will be chasing once more, but it just allows Reynolds to back it off a bit if he wants to, or completely give it the foot to the floor and try run away, which would be what he's trying to do now. Is 8/10 of the gap between the two leaders. But now we look at Holmes following behind the Porsche of Ellis, with Appreciato now in behind him, and pretty clean start all things considered. Only one incident that we've seen in the replays as I say that. 1:15 yellow flag there on the track map, so we might have to get a little replay of that. But as we head round the final corner, Holmes, if he gets a good exit, could make a run on Ellis here as he gets the power down. He's right in the slipstream of that Porsche. Will he go for a move, or is he going to sit behind as we head down towards turn 1? He's closing, but here is the replay of why we saw the yellow flag. So, the Mercedes just gets it all wrong under braking, goes onto the outside curve, very slippery in the wet, spins it off on his own, but luckily, at least from what we saw, nobody else gets entangled in that later on, and Holmes decide to stay behind Ellis. But here we see Nathan Monks and JC going at it as we head towards turn 2, and the Turkish Delight Nissan holds on for the moment, and Nathan had a very, very strong 2 races in Paul Ricard, and he's now just on the brink of the top 10. He did get promoted to silver class, however, so he is going to be looking to continue his run of form that he had in Paul Ricard, and a top 10, or at least, no, it's updated now, top 12, wouldn't be a bad way to do it, as he makes a mistake there on the inside, and that's going to put him under a bit of pressure there from Sweeney, but nothing will come from it at the chicane. But yeah, Nathan in that Mustang looking to continue his run of form.
Very much so, but the one thing that has sort of nullified the Mustang is this track. The Mustang can't unleash its party trick, so gonna have to get the elbows out, the big Mustang, which will, yeah, that's going to be really interesting to watch. And we are looking at it, because I did notice that as well, that Webb has gone somewhere. I don't know where, but he's gone somewhere. We'll make sure we'll keep an eye on that, and we'll follow that up as we're looking. Oh, Murphy just gets the back end of the Porsche right out sideways. Standard. Oh, the touch there between JC and Murphy. Oh, that was elbows out. Oh, JC got hip and shouldered worse than an Essendon player. That was terrible.
Yeah,
I'm sure he'll be on the microphone.
Oh, it's just back there. It's a couple of cars racing each other there at the final corner. Sweeney is now trying to make the move on Nathan as they head down towards turn 1. He's going to slot back. This is the only part of the racetrack where the Mustang can show what it's good at. And Sweeney, because of that, isn't quite able to attack. But he pokes his nose in, just makes Nathan know he's there, and can set up a move later. But here is the replay of it. The Porsche just didn't really get to the apex. He just couldn't quite turn it in. And then JC finds himself on the outside, which is super slick. No grip. He could barely get back onto the racetrack, which nearly put him under pressure from Nathan. But this is what I saw in the background. The Porsche just taking a different line to the Aston, who was trying to get a cutback. And I thought they were 3 wide there when I saw it initially. I couldn't believe my eyes, but luckily they weren't. Otherwise, it could have gone very badly.
Very much so, as we are back up with our leader now, Reynolds and Lamb leading the way. They're 1.7 to the good over McNeil, so they're looking comfortable, these two. I think Matthew Lamb's I think he's just waiting for Reynolds to blink here. I've seen this so many times before. He just sits there and waits, and then pounces before you know it, and then drives off in the distance. And we've got ourselves a replay of the 64 Porsche things.
Oh no!
Porsche things.
Yeah, it's also there. Lely making up another move. He is in P16. A great start from Lely after starting up the back.
Fantastic start. That's a really great drive through the field. That's what you want when you're at the back. You just want to be consistent and then make the passes. As looking here, Matthew Lamb, he's right on the back of Reynolds. He is putting so much pressure on here. He's absolutely got the screws turned in. So we jump on board now, and that's what you can see. Also known in motorsport speak, sweet bugger all. And then once, that's the funny part, when they brake and there's no spray coming off, it's like, oh, it's cleared up. No, it hasn't. Oh, red screen. Ooh.
Yeah. Red screen of death.
So we've still got only 8 minutes in, so this is one of those tracks as well where the race does feel like it goes on for longer than it is, just because of the lap time. You're constantly turning. It's quite a slow average speed around here, and add into some rain, and it's a very slow average speed. So as we're looking here at JC on Murphy here, should be able to get this done nice and easily. Yep, turns it in, says sweet. Sideways out of the corner, standard GTR things, and off he goes. As back here though, Lamb has absolutely got the blowtorch on now. He's put some chili peppers in his goulash and he's fired right up.
Yeah, Lamb has been strong through the second sector for the entirety of the first, well, only 9 minutes of this race. But, oh, it's 101, the yellow flag. So, we might have to see what's happened there. But for now, we are staying with Lamb and Reynolds. Oh, a massive moment there under braking from Lamb. Just got it all crossed up, and that's giving him a massive slide. And manages to hold it together. Still a bit taily. The McLaren is it's very downforce dependent. So the second you find yourself going slow speed, it definitely gets a bit harder to drive, and that has allowed Reynolds to breathe just a touch, but Lamb will be right back behind him in a couple of corners time, as this is why we saw the yellow flag from the 101 car. It is the Pocky Porsche just rejoins after having a moment at the chicane, goes off, slides, and just stops, and he knows he has to let everyone through.
Yep, and it looks like we've lost the 101 as well, so that is a shame. But we'll truck on as we are looking at this fantastic battle to the race lead. And hopefully we've got a little bit of time here, because it sort of looks like the race is just starting to settle down, as I say. Josh McLaughlin gets a 15-second penalty for lap 1 incident. Of course, that will be added to his pit stop. But Lamb, look at this. Look at the pressure here being applied. He's moving that car left, right, just trying to force some little error here from Reynolds. But Reynolds has seen all this before. This isn't his first rodeo either. As we go bonnet cam now on the McLaren. And it just gives you an idea of how low slung the McLaren is compared to that big posterior of the Merc. Just gives you a real understanding of how they make their speed as well. The Merc definitely relies a lot more on mechanical grip, where the McLaren, as been mentioned already, relies a lot more on its aero. Oh, flamed out the exhaust. Gotta love that.
Yeah, that's one of the features of the McLaren that I think a lot of people end up liking when they watch the off-board cameras, as it does just make it all that much cooler. Flames are always fun coming out the back of a race car, unless your engine blew up, to be fair. But in terms of downshifts, normally it is good to see.
Definitely. So, just ticked under the 50 minutes ago, Mark. So, plenty to play out here. Of course, we are in Hungary. Of course, we are in the region of, excuse my pronunciation, Mygorod in Hungary, which actually translates directly to peanuts in English. So, there you go. Random bit of useless information for you. Of course, known for its weather, it's normally extremely hot here, or when it rains, it absolutely buckets down. There's no middle ground here. Of course, famous track, been in the F1 calendar since 1986. Of course, famous for one Ayrton Senna overtake on a lapped car, which still blows my mind. Jump on YouTube, our younger viewers, go have a look at it. It's an incredible bit of driving. As we're looking at a great battle here between Ellis, Johnson and Holmes. So this is a bit of a three-way fight. 3 different manufacturers as well, which is what we like to see. And we've got a bit of Caramello Koala versus Logitech action.
Yeah, not a
pairing. I just don't know where yet.
Yeah, not a pairing you'd expect to see often, to be fair. So it's as we see Horsburgh picking up a 10-second time penalty for causing a collision on lap 2. So I don't remember what incident that is, or if we got a replay of it, honestly.
Yeah, it's sort of. Yeah, no.
I don't remember. Yeah. And yeah, I'm sure you're right as well. There has to be a joke in there somewhere with the Logitech Caramel Koala. I'm sure if it's anyone, you will come up with it, or mysteriously Peach will appear and somehow make a pun out of it.
Actually, you're probably right with that one. I'm waiting for Peach to appear and just, oh yeah, I just thought of that. But this is actually a really good fight as well. As some great on-track racing at the moment. Just looking in the background now, that's Appreciado, who's just starting to catch up the back of Holmes. We've got ourselves a replay here. This is Lele on the... Oh, that's not looking well. That peanut slab definitely drove the slab in. That was terrible.
Yeah. Always see these camera views. So we're looking at the back of Reynolds Mercedes, and on camera 1, we are still seeing the battle between Ellis and Johnston. So, as we head towards the second sector, Reynolds will be under a load of pressure, as always, from Matt Lamb. But the unfortunate part for Lamb is the fact that where the McLaren is strong, you can't overtake. So, it makes his life so much harder while trying to overtake Reynolds.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of these track is one is very, very few pass altitudes. Turn 1's probably the best bet. Other than that, you want to be maybe into the chicane, but again, yeah, it's very, very easy. As we've got Chris, something.
I'd assume it would be Murphy. But a penalty of some description is, yeah, Alice. Bit of a moment. But you had some facts about the racetrack, but and a lot of them I actually had written down as well. But I have like 2 more or 3 more actually, as another race control that we can't see. So maybe we'll get another look at it later. But the track is 4.381 kilometers. And it is nicknamed Monaco without the barriers, as a lot of F1 fans would know it as we see Lamb thought about trying to get the undercut there on the exit. And the race lap record is obviously an F1 race lap record. You can't get any quicker than that of Lewis Hamilton in 2020 in the famous Mercedes W11 with a 1 minute 16.6. So I still have some facts even when you beat me to the punch. It's always good to have 2 people who love their facts.
That's very true. Of course, some of my facts are just a little bit... Oh, I tell you what, Lamb, so aggressive through Sector 1. He's just on it. And then through Sector 2 here, just watch. When it just starts to rely a little bit more on rear traction, the Merc just pulls away a little bit. It's not a lot. It's look at the corner speed the McLaren can take, but then the Merc just says V8 power, bye. So, yeah, this would be incredibly frustrating for Lamb, but he's a very cool head. This won't worry him one bit. He'll know exactly what he's got to do, and he'll know when to do it, and he'll pounce when the time is right. 100%. I won't put my house on it. I kind of like my house. So. Maybe we'll put my lawnmower on it. There we go.
Yeah. I think that Lamb's best choice here, and I think it's what he's planning to do, or maybe not actually. Lamb's all over the back of runners, but I was going to say that Lamb might just be waiting for the pit stops, but Lamb has actually gotten a great exit. The Mercedes, even with its V8 power, might still be under pressure here, and Reynolds has to defend. Lamb trying to find his way around the outside now. Reynolds just about to get it stopped, but runs out a bit deep. The Mercedes not able to pull it up. Lamb gets a nice little switch back there, and as we head down towards turn 2, it's almost a repeat, photo for photo, of lap 1, and Reynolds still just about holds the inside apex, and Lamb wasn't able to stick it around the outside. There's not enough grip there in the wet, and Reynolds, wow. Fantastic defense and a bit of a mistake there from Lamb, and he's just able to hold the position. But that is a great little scrap there between our 2 leaders.
Fantastic racing. I tell you what, I thought Lamb was going to really try and send it around the outside then. Unfortunately, especially in this weather, there was absolutely zero grip out there. But he gave it a red-hot crack, and that I've got to take my hat off to. As we got a bit of camera action. As looking here, I believe that is Burton McCulleren convoy. That is right. So we've got a Mustang, Ferrari, and a GTR going head. Oh, I tell you what, JC's looking real racy here. Currently in 10th position. He'll be okay with that. I reckon he'll want more. Yep, GTR. Yep, that is what the GTR does.
Are we sure it's a GT3 car and not a drift car?
Well, if you watch this split all season, JC is known to just get it sideways. Clearly tyre life is not something he really cares about. Yeah, he can drive this thing on the side. Look at that. That is fantastic car control. It's not fast, but who cares? It looks bloody great. Oh, here we go again.
Even more, yeah.
Yeah, more.
So, JC definitely has no ends to his drifting ability in the GTR, at least from what I've seen so far, but he does run out wide and give us another wiggle, but it wasn't particularly a drift that time. He would have been a bit scared, I'm sure, because AstroTurf in the rain is a terrifying thing, as Face Control pointing out no wiper there on the GTR. So,
I can answer that question. $100 he's running bonnet cam.
oh, yeah, 100%.
Where's the immersion, JC? Come on. You got to be fully immersed.
Well, how about maybe JC has an entire like simulator setup of the inside of the GTR because he just loves it that much, and the bonnet cam is actually the exact POV he needs because it just gives him the rest of the front of the car.
Now, I would believe that, but I've seen JC set up.
Maybe one day. He does love his GTR, so it's a possibility.
Oop, that's got chat going. Does he use bonnet cam? Well, I'm not sure, but no wiper on. That kind of would suggest. But at the end of the day, as long as you don't use chase cam or bumper cam, it's all good.
Yeah, that's definitely it. And chase cam, I think you need to be sent to prison if you use chase cam, unless you're on Forza.
Oh, even then, no.
Well,
Oh,
Forza Horizon, I mean, is Reynolds. Oh, too much curb, even in the Mercedes, and wait, Lamb goes for it.
Got him.
And is this a swap for the lead? Yes, it is. And that is now Matthew Lamb leading the way, and then Reynolds makes another mistake. That allows Lamb to get even further out in front. And that is a very costly mistake there from Reynolds, because with that McLaren, with the middle sector, surely Reynolds is going to have a tough time staying with Lamb, and especially already showing through turn 1.
Yep, I think this is another story I've seen before. When Matthew Lamb gets out in front, 9 times out of 10, he will drive away. No more to pay. He is very good at leading a race. As we look back here at this fantastic battle between JC, Burton, Appreciato, and JC.
Oh, what's happened?
Weird, wasn't it?
Yeah, it wasn't really a moment. He just kind of slowed down.
Almost looked like he hit the pit limiter. Which is easy to do.
Well, it kind of depends on your wheel, I guess.
Well, that's true. I mean, I've never done it, but apparently it's easy to do, so.
Yeah, I mean, I have a nice little McLaren GT3 Fanatec wheel, and you have to put a lot of force in to press the pit limiter button. So, yeah, I mean, I guess it really does depend on what sort of wheel you have, I guess.
Exactly, but if you are looking for the much more superior Sim Magic wheel, or a Sim Magic base, you can go see our fantastic sponsors at simrigs.com. And of course, if you are a awesome OOR Patreon, you will get 5% off in store as well. And a big thank you to simrigs.com for their continued support. Simrigs.com for all your sim racing needs. Now
you have been waiting for that segue for a long time, I can guarantee it.
So, on board with JC at the moment. He's got the wiper on, so he's found the wiper button. Good on him. The wiper is on, yep. So clearly he thought, you know what, I actually might need that on, or there might be on to me here.
Just maybe got the stream on his phone or a second screen, and he's just going, oh no, they know. Quick, turn on the wiper.
But another good battle here between the GTR and the Mustang. Burton driving a really nice race here. Currently in 8th position, second in silver. So really solid points. Oh, he runs incredibly deep there. I'm not sure if he got that around, but we'll just keep an eye on our scoreboard there. But it looks like he has held on to that just. As we're looking here at, is that McDowell? No, that is Walsh and Lele. And it looks like that is a change to position because Lele is definitely in front of Walsh now. And they drive off to the distance. Back here with Jay's. No, so Burton did hold on to it somehow. But we're looking here. JC, he's very racy here. I think it's a matter of if, or when, not if.
Yeah, and I mean, the Mustang and the Nissan must feel pretty similar around the wet Hungaroring. They are both 25,000 tons approximately, and they are both not able to turn very well. So, two great drivers behind the wheel of them. They're both great in a straight line. The GTR normally just a little bit better off the punch than the Mustang, but it kind of depends on what BOP the Mustang has at a given track. But as we head towards the straight, this is going to be the real test of it, as Matthew Lamb is flying out in front. 1.9 seconds over Reynolds, but a 1 minute 50.6. Does that not match his qualifying time?
Pretty much.
Was it a .4?
I think it was a .4 his qualifying time, but he's that close to it, it's not even funny. That is a ridiculous race lap from Matthew Lamb. JC pulls out of the slipstream, thinks better of it, tucks her nose back in. So Mustang and GTR call salt. They go with the Jeremy Clarkson approach to GT3 racing. When struggling, add more power.
Yeah, and
Power solves everything.
Yeah, Jeremy's genius is almost frightening, one would say. So when he says more power, you've definitely got to believe that's the way to go. As we have the split camera again, it's made a few appearances tonight, and we love to see it. So we're looking on the second camera at Johnston versus McNeil. They head towards the chicane as JC and Burton are just about heading towards it. So nothing will happen in the middle sector as JC has a mistake there and runs out a bit wide. And now he has some time to gain again on Burton, but I'm sure he will as we look at the Caramel and Koala livery in camera 2. And now it becomes the main screen. So Johnston versus McNeil. The gap is 0.6. The Aston is a little bit better than the Lambo in a straight line, but the Lambo is very planted. Even in the rain, it feels pretty comfortable. So, as we head towards the straight, this is going to be where Johnston will get it done. I probably won't be this lap, as it is a bit too far of a gap, at least from what I'm seeing, is Lamb 50.280. Wow. He is giving it everything, and he has 3 seconds out in front. And yeah, Reynolds must have really been a hindrance then in the first, 10, 15, 20 minutes of the race before that mistake Reynolds made, and Lamb is gone.
Okay, he's straight up taking the PI 55 now. That is simply silly. What a lap. A 50.2 race lap. And Reynolds is no slouch, and there is nothing he can do about it. Unbelievable. I tell you what, though, Johnson here is putting in a mega drive. Currently in 4th position, top of the tree in silver class, and he is chomping at the bit for that podium as we jump on board the beautiful sounding Aston. Gorgeous sounding race car. Its downshifts are so savage and just munches curbs for breakfast. But the Lambo, just to reiterate your points there, it's a mega car in the wet. So much fun to drive in the wet. I remember taking it around Nürburgring, I think it was a couple of seasons ago, we had a wet race at night as well, and it just felt amazing. The only problem with it was the muppet behind the wheel, but that's a big problem.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of people will definitely find themselves relating to that one, myself included, as I have also given the Lambo a go. I was actually giving it a go. What was it? I can't even remember what track it was. I'm trying to remember what track it was. Silverstone, there we go. After that round, I was pretty angry at my Aston because it didn't feel great there, and I saw McNeil out the front, and I was just like, how is he absolutely flying? Went in the Lambo and just did the exact same lap times I was doing in the Aston Martin. So, complete skill issue on my behalf, but it did feel very, very good. And yeah, it is a nice feeling car, and I gave it a go in the wet just after that, just to see what it was like, because I've not done much ACC in the wet, and it was planted. But we did see in the camera there that JC and a couple of other drivers have pulled into the pits as we reach the halfway mark. This is now when people are going to start considering pitting.
Yeah, definitely. So Preciado and Convoy, they're going for the straight up 50-50 strat as we jump on board with Breno Ellis in the best sounding car on the grid. The best car on the grid, just the best. It is the mighty Porsche 992 GT3R. And this man is very, very good in this vehicle. Just low.
Yeah. Race control, are you okay?
Seriously? Oh,
I know,
wow.
it's Are You Okay Day, and I'm just gonna ask, are you okay, Mr. Race Control?
Of course, there's another good segue. It is Are You Okay Day. Of course, every day is Are You Okay Day, in my opinion, but it is a good day to just recognise, check in with your loved ones, check in with your mates, just making sure everything is all hunky-dory. And if you're not okay, that is okay. So always reach out and speak to someone. There's plenty of support around, especially in OLR as well. So definitely reach out if you're not feeling the best. Annie, JC on slicks? No, surely not.
I'm okay when I'm in my Jag. Is Race Control Jeremy Clarkson, potentially? That's my question.
Does he actually own anything? That's the key. Because if he does own stuff, then he can't be a Jaguar. That's just the way it works.
Yeah, but I mean, to quote Jeremy Clarkson, you can get away with anything when you're in a Jag. So
No, that's right.
doesn't really matter if you own anything because you've got a Jag.
It's your... Oh, terribly sorry there, old chaps. I've seen you left my wallet in the Jag. There is Austin McNeil, currently in third. Putting together another solid performance from our championship leader. This is all he really has to do now. It's just finishing sort of that top 5, top 3. And he's got this championship sewn up. But again, anything can happen in racing. As we're looking at Lele, he's up to 9th position. That is... Now, of course, we do have a couple of pit stops to play out and everything like that. But that is a huge drive so far. Mega effort.
I mean, if Lily keeps this on the road, this is definitely going to be my driver of the race. There's still 28 minutes to go in wet conditions. Anything can happen. And when you're an Aston Martin following the boat of a Mustang being driven by Nathan, anything can happen.
That's true, because the Aston is carrying a significant weight advantage. It's got minus 18 kilos, which is quite a lot. Compared with the Mustang, it's got plus 17. So weight always sort of plays itself out, especially over a race stint. Maybe over 1 or 2 laps, weight doesn't make a difference, but over a race stint, weight makes a massive difference. We just saw, I believe that was Ellis in the pits and Reynolds as well. So feel these drivers down, just making their decisions. Just going to keep an eye here on McNeil as well. That's the sort of pit stop I want to keep an eye on. Matthew Lamb can basically pit whenever he wants. Doesn't really matter. As Sweeney comes in as well. So there's still a bit to play out in this race yet.
Yeah, obviously strategy was always going to play into it as Nathan just pulls off to the left-hand side, lets Lily go and wonders maybe if he can just try and follow the Aston Martin. But yeah, the Mustang really not faring well, especially in wet conditions. It was always going to be the case when we saw the wet round.
Yeah, it doesn't like the wet.
Yeah, I can't imagine why, except for the fact that it's 20 tons.
It's a lot of fun in the wet, don't get me wrong. You know, driving out the side windscreen is hilarious, but it's not fast. It doesn't feel nice, especially when you really push it. It just goes, oh, hello, I am understeer, and I've got a lot of it. And then it transitions into oversteer. There's no middle ground. It's just like understeer into oversteer.
Yeah,
oh,
and I mean,
of understeer.
Ooh, wow, yeah, Breno, a massive bit of understeer. That is uncommon for a Porsche, actually, so interesting. As Johnston pitted for... Huh?
No.
No. What has happened? What has happened? We need to know.
Yes. So
I think Johnston might have made a mistake.
Yep.
And that's a costly one. A very costly one. That is a
Yeah,
30-second mistake.
easily.
Actually,
Plus
more than
transit
that,
time.
because, yeah, so more like a 40 to 50-second mistake, and that
Oh,
is
yeah.
a race killer.
Certainly is. Easy to do. It is easy to do. I've done it before. It's very easy to do, but it's always one of those things, sort of just triple check your pit stop strategy before you pit start. It's something I do now every time. Just so paranoid about it happening. As we've got McNeil, Holmes, and McKellar all coming in to the lane now. So we'll see where they all filter out. And there is Austin McNeil. So I believe he's exiting the pit lane. So is he going to get a net position gain here? Because he was going to be very. I think he has. Oh, yes, he has. Very much so. Now, he's still in third, but he's a lot closer to... Oh, that was very tight there on the exit. I'm not too sure who that was. That was, yeah, I believe that's a blue flag. So, just on the exit there. Yeah, but 100% McNeil's made up a bucket load of time here. All of a
Yeah.
sudden, he's right in the play for this second position.
Yeah, and the Lambo definitely showing its pace around this circuit, and especially against a big Mercedes. Reynolds is no slouch of a driver, but you're always going to be bottlenecked when you're in such a big understeery car in these sort of conditions compared to a planted Italian car.
Yeah, definitely. So we're going to have to see some driving here from Reynolds now. He's going to have to actually get his hustle on and try and muscle that Merc around, because you get the feeling McNeil and Ellis are just going to sail up to the back of this Merc. But again, it's that. Oh, as we're looking at a replay here, the teammate. Oh, the two Valvoline cars. Please. Oh,
Oh,
just a bit of
yeah,
formation flying. Oh, that's okay. That's nice.
yeah,
Get the camera out.
nice. Yeah.
Hang on, it's going on for a bit longer than I like for replays.
Oh, no,
no!
no.
Oh dear.
Oh, you jinxed it. You jinxed it. We thought it was all going to be nice, and it was just the camera director showing us a nice little moment, but no, they killed each other.
What is the first rule of motorsport?
Do not take out your teammate.
That'll be an interesting debrief.
Yeah. Hey, at least it isn't the Alpine F1 team's debrief after every single race. It says a Lamborghini off there. Just letting Reynolds through, I think, because, yeah, Lambo now overtaking another Lambo because of blue flags, but I am wondering who... It's the Polywaffle Lambo.
That's
Who
right.
is that again?
That is... Can't see on our timing board. I'm trying to remember now. What's that? Like any danger, Kunos, that you could give us a timing board that actually... Alright, AC Evo. I don't have a lot of things. I don't
Oh,
demand...
Stratford.
Go Stratford. There you go. Lovely
Yeah.
little Polywaffle Lambo. So, I'm not one to demand things from game manufacturers. I'm not like that. But I do demand one thing. Can we get a timing board that actually bloody works properly in AC Evo? Just putting it out there.
Or
That'd be
maybe
great.
even one that you can control. Like, you can just, like, select it and, like, scroll down it so you can see who you need to see. Or just one that shows the entire grid. Whatever works.
Yeah, exactly. As Kuhn picks up an SG30. Ouch. I'm not too
Is that
sure
for speeding?
I'm going to say that's for speeding.
Yeah, it has to be for speeding, because surely we would have seen a replay if it was something on-track related. Then he hasn't served a pit stop either, but he is dropping down the field, so maybe he is in the pits. I don't know. Confusing one.
Very much so. Give ACC mod support.
No, not for the type of game it is.
Yeah, I can't get on board with that. Unless they're Kunos approved mods, then yes. But if not, no, I just can't. Yeah, get on that
I,
because next thing you know, you'll see all sorts of cars and stuff in the game, and
I don't know,
you know,
because it's the sort of thing, right, where you go and you look at it, and it just cause all sorts of licensing problems. The reason the original Assetto Corsa still is around is because of modding. But then we have AC Evo, which I have no doubt in my mind will have modding support, and it's just gonna be that's gonna be where the mods lie, because having mods on ACC for the type of game it is isn't the race control is down bad for a Jag. I feel like race
it's
control might be
consistent.
the yeah. I mean, race control might actually, I'm just gonna quickly stop talking. That was very close there between Ashton
Service.
Reynolds and Ben Curtis, or as some may know him, Diabols, and I'm sure Curtis won't put up a fight here against Ashton Reynolds as they head towards the corner. Ben just holding the outside and just potentially letting Reynolds go. Yeah, sure. But anyway, what I was going to say is, I feel like race control might be the sort of person to pull up in his Jag, accidentally run over your dog, hop out and go, oh, I'm so sorry, I hit it in my Jag.
That's right, exactly. You get away with everything in the Jag. As Matthew Lamb looks like he will net that first position back, as Walsh does pop into the pit lane. So we'll now get our cleansed order. Well, our cleansed top 5, top 4. Count, you idiot. It is Lamb, Reynolds, McNeil, and Ellis, and I believe Holmes will pop into that 5th position. So now we'll get a bit of an idea where everyone's at, and then we should get a straight fight to the flag. Well, yeah, the thing I'm interested about AC Evo is how they're going to actually structure it. That's my biggest sort of question mark at the moment. Is it just going to be like AC, or is there going to be some structure to it? And yeah, because we really haven't got much information. Well, it's Kunos. So, I mean, of course we haven't got much information.
Yeah, they just drop stuff. They just decide one day, they wake up and they're like, let's release a whole new pack to ACC. But I think that AC Evo is literally going to be the name. Like, obviously it is the name of the game, but as in, it's going to be what the game is. It's just going to be Assetto Corsa with potentially a competition system, potentially. That's maybe the one thing I see, but it's going to be Assetto Corsa with ACC graphics, and oh wow, the 383 Ford Mustang having a big moment to the wall there. But back to what I was saying, I think AC Evo is just going to be the original Assetto Corsa with ACC physics, but maybe even just a touch dialed in and more, just a bit better with potentially braking physics would be something I'd have to say. And then also Assetto Corsa Competizione graphics. So I think AC Evo has a bright future ahead of it.
Oh, I agree. Definitely has a bright future. I think there's some aspects they could take from other sims as well out there, and maybe implement those. I mean, iRacing's weather system is pretty good, I've been told, except for puddles.
Yeah, it is.
Staying on hills, I don't get that. But of course, iRacing has its flaws as well. It costs, you have to take out a small mortgage to play the thing. But again, you know, it's one of those things. You know, Gran Turismo, it's great for the masses. Console racing definitely has its place, but again, it's got issues. It's pretty, don't get me wrong. Gran Turismo is unbelievably pretty, but 16-player lobbies. So again, so it's plus and minuses everywhere you look. You know, Le Mans Ultimate feels amazing, pretty good looking, but again, a bit buggy because it's a little bit there from Vediga. That was interesting. Just got the back end of the Ferrari out. Just stepped out a little bit, but he controlled the slide beautifully. Thought that was going to go around him in the end, but he did well. So I've always been of the opinion you play what you enjoy.
Yeah, and I feel like that's why I personally levitate towards ACC and iRacing. Normally, I don't really do much iRacing unless it's an endurance race, but ACC I just always seem to love doing, which is why I've been quite annoyed about the fact that my rig broke, because I've had no opportunity to do this spectacular racing we're seeing in front of us. But I think Le Mans Ultimate has a massive future in sim racing. The one thing that they are lacking right now is a private server system, because that means league racing cannot get underway. I think once they add that, a lot of places will start adding that to their roster of sims, and it is going to be very cool to see.
Couldn't agree more. Of course, some massive news today. Popping out of WEC. As some of you may know, I'm a huge WEC fan, have been for years and years and years and years. Genesis, the luxury brand of Hyundai, is joining WEC. So, yeah.
The
Ooh,
Porsche.
close.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, but that's
the Porsche having a big
super exciting
moment,
news. Yeah, we'll just keep
yeah.
rolling this actually. This is starting to spice up. So McLaughlin's just starting to get a little racy here in the Porsche. And Vettiger just seems to be struggling a bit in the Coke Ferrari. With Vodafone as well. Well, he's gone for the big time sponsors. That's true, Harsh. Yeah, AMS2 is pretty good as well, actually. Group C car around Bathurst, mega fun. Try it.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously play what you enjoy. I feel like, me personally, I don't drive it too much. Just, I have some issues with the force feedback, but I think that just could be poor settings related. I think that's my problem with Le Mans Ultimate as well. I know it's really good. I've tried it when my force feedback worked, but my force feedback on Le Mans Ultimate decided to stop working. Otherwise, I'd probably play it a lot more.
That is in Hypercar, Callum. So I thought it was LMGT as well, or LMGT3 as they call it, or whatever they bloody call it. But no, it's apparently Hypercar, so that'll be really interesting. I've got a gut feel it's going to look a little bit like the Gran Turismo Vision car that Genesis did. I think it'll take some design cues off that. As we jump on board with Vettiger at the moment to head through this really fast kink here. Track limits here, an absolute nightmare. Whoa, side by side, there's a touch here with McLaughlin. That was elbows out. Not too sure how that'll be looked at. We'll have to wait for our fantastic stewarding team to have a look at that. Big thank you to our stewarding team as well. You do a magnificent job. Ooh, where's Convoy? Good question. I just don't...
Oh yeah, I hadn't really noticed that. What has happened? We need to know. As we get the replay of the Porsche and the Ferrari going at it up the hill. Just a bit of a wobble between the two of them. And then, the Ferrari just comes across, doesn't he?
Hang on. So they went through that corner, which is not a passing corner, side by side, no problem. And they got down into the braking area and said, oh, no, that was hard. Yeah, okay, that was weird. Weird little incident there between Vettiger and McLaughlin. So, yeah, we've lost JC. I don't know what's happened there. I'm sure we'll ask him in Split Red. Of course, coming up, Split Red action. So, another 60-minute race from Split Asia. Looking forward to that. That's going to be an absolute ripper. Might stay in the box for that one. I might hand over to my colleague. Not too sure yet. I'll make a decision. Here we go. JC, what's happened? It's come through. Looks all hunky-dory there. A little bit...
looks like dry tyres. Yeah, that was actually...
Oh! Yes, it is. That's a wall. And that is one Turkish delight that's gone past its use-by date.
Yeah, you could say that the Turkish delight is just maybe a Turkish now because it is not so delight. That was poor. I tried to be smart.
Not bad.
I tried to be smart. What has Peach done to me? I did too many split green comms. Dead car, dead chocolate bar. Ooh, yeah. Here we go, McLaughlin again. Just shows the nose to Vettiger and says, nope. Vettiger shuts the door. I think we can consider the Coke livery. No, race control.
We're just going to ignore race control.
Yeah, race control doesn't get an opinion anymore.
Yeah, I reckon we can class Coke as a chocolate.
In what way?
More sugar than most chocolate.
Oh, right. True, but then what about the Vodafone sticker on the back? I feel like, is Vodafone a chocolate now, or are we just...
Well, that's a good question. As we hear Johnson, who's actually catching up to these two as well. So Johnson in that beautiful Caramello Koala Aston, driving for Mosaic Motorsport. Big shout out to Graham Hill as well, his teammate. Hope you're well, Graham. Oh, look at the Ferrari on the slide there. That was just a little bit of nice car control there from Vetico. Just controlled the slide beautifully.
So I just got to point something out in chat. So we had Sir Heck say, not going to unwrap that joke.
Wow.
It's a good effort, to be fair. It's a good effort. It's, if you don't know it's a chocolate round, though, then, it could be a bit confusing.
Coke Oreo Cola. I don't know what that is.
Neither do I.
Do Coke and Oreo go together? No, they don't go together.
No, they don't. No, they don't. They don't.
No,
They don't.
no. We're just gonna go no.
Yeah, no.
Now,
No.
we're just, let's be honest, rambling. I've been keeping an eye on these gaps here, and these three are catching diabolos up there. So this is about to be a four-way fight here, and this is going to be really good to watch because Diabolos is definitely struggling a little bit in that Mustang. Vetiga's been sideways, I feel like, every corner. McLaughlin is looking extremely racy, and of course Johnson is on the recovery drive after accidentally putting the wrong tyres on. So 4 different sort of outcomes here, and 4 different sort of motivations, and 4 different cars. Place your bets, ladies and gentlemen. This, I reckon, is going to be a bit of a grandstand finish here, and they're fighting over 17th position. But that's the thing. Doesn't matter where you are position-wise. Once you get in a race, you forget about that. You're in a race.
Yeah, and there's a ticking clock on this battle as well, as time flies by when you're having fun. There's only 9 minutes to go, and Johnston knows that, and he goes up the inside of McLaughlin, gets it done down into turn 1, and now he has to chase Vetica and Curtis as they head down towards turn 2. That's created a little bit of a separation between the two of them, but Johnston was a bit further up the field than those guys just in front of him, so he may have a little bit more pace than them further as we go on, as we now go to McNeil versus Reynolds as well in camera 2 to your right hand side. The Mercedes obviously going to be able to open itself up in a straight line, much like we saw Lamb struggle with while trying to overtake the Mercedes at the start of the race. But speaking of Lamb, 11 seconds out in the lead, and the swap to the McLaren might be the best choice he's ever made.
Whoa. Settle down. Just pump the brakes there a little bit.
Not here for the... Because he was in a Porsche, you're not appreciating it?
Porsche. Look, he's mentioned for a while now that he's sort of... Yeah, wow. Go on. I dare to challenge him, Ben. I dare you challenge him next round to jump on the Jag. But I don't think the Jag's allowed to race. So.
No, because it's got no BOP.
That's right.
It's the same as the 488 actually, otherwise I might actually give myself a go in the 488.
I actually enjoy the 488. It's one of my favourite cars to drive. Still is.
I'm not a 296 fan. I really don't like the 296, but I love the 488. I'm a big 488 guy.
Yeah, so am I. Yeah, I'm a big fan. It's fun to drive. It's a little lively. But the 296 is just...
Yeah, it's disgusting, and it's a V6, and I don't want to hear it. But it's popular.
It is very popular. So Reynolds here, he's doing a good job in that car. That car is not easy to drive around here. And he's holding off our championship leader, and Alice is just there lurking. That's a bit of a tricky blue flag there. Alice really had to make a late move, but gets it done. They can keep on trucking.
As Ellis pulls out?
An opportunity. He thought, this might be a chance for an overtake here. Ever the opportunist.
Yeah, Ellis does often give it his all when it comes to trying to find an overtaking opportunity, as you have to in the Porsche. It's not the strongest in the straight line. To be fair, neither is the car he's trying to overtake, but with it's so good under brakes, the Porsche. That's one thing. I've driven it for a few seasons, and actually, it is very nice under brakes. It's just when you get into the mid-corner that it does Porsche things, but if you like the car enough, like I do, and you do as well, it is something you learn to deal with, and you just really got to send it in the Porsche. When you go for an overtake, it is just so crucial that you're fully committed.
Definitely. It's got a replay here. This is Lele. Is this an overtake, or is this a bit of a... You want to stay positive? Tries to sneak it up the inside, gets it done.
Good move.
Very smooth move. That was a lovely move.
Yeah, and the replay ends. Oh my god, that was a great overtake there from Lily, who actually, from the back of the grid, is in P6. What a performance.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah, that is unreal from Lily. From the back of the grid, from what you believe to be a quali ban, to P6. 5 minutes to go. There's still things that can happen. They're still in a battle with Appreciato, but no matter what happens, unless they fully crash out, they have had a brilliant race.
That's a stunning drive. Yeah, huge drive. And not a lot of cars have actually left the circuit, so that's been legitimate on pace. So fantastic drivers. Burton picks up a drive-through. That'll be for track limits, which around here in the wet, I'm not going to beat around the bush here, are absolutely stupid. Like, it's wet for crying out loud. That's another thing, actually, AC Evo. Here we go, another wish list thing. Can they fix the bloody track limits? Like, some consistency would be really nice. Yeah, it'd be great. Thanks, Kunos. Hope you're listening. Back on board here with Austin McNeil at the moment. Currently still chasing Reynolds. This is our fight for second position. And you can just see the corner speed there the Lamborghini can take through that fast kink. Can we get Muller's mic turned up?
Oh, that's not one I've
How about now, Gorilla? Does that sound better?
Put it fully up, guys. Get ready. It's like Back to the Future when Marty turns the speaker all the way up and flies backwards into the wall.
I've actually got one of those boom arms, I reckon, so I can pull it really close to my mouth. But anyway, that's another discussion. We're back here, this fantastic battle between McNeil, Ellis, and Reynolds. I don't know who to pick here. Look, to be honest, if Reynolds just keeps it straight, he'll hold on to this position. But again, pressure's everything, so we'll have to keep an eye on this and just sort of, if maybe McNeil could just put a little bit extra pressure on here, then he might be able to just force a slight error. But again, it's going to be very difficult.
Yeah, I mean, Reynolds is under pressure here from an Italian Audi and a beautiful Porsche, so it's all just going to be about how he holds his head in the dying stages. 2 minutes 56 to go, and what would that be, about 2 laps to go then? 3 laps to go maybe?
My opinion on turn 13. I've got some strong opinions on turn 13, especially in the wet.
It's rough. It's rough.
That outside curb, I'm sorry, that is the slipperiest curb in the game. Like, every time you hit that thing, around you go. Doesn't matter what you do. Like, absolutely stupid. Again, can we have some consistency with the curbs as well? Okay, this is turning into a rant.
Yeah, I mean, I've never actually had a problem with ACC curbs, so you might be on your own there.
Oh, no, I'm not on my own. I'm definitely not on my own.
Well, except for sausage curbs. But those are just sausage curbs. That doesn't matter what sim you're in. They're just terrible. They're terrible in real life. They're terrible in every sim in existence. Sausage curbs need to go. Anyway, Jag hits curbs very well. Yeah, but so does the Mercedes. So...
so does the
yes. Yeah, and so does the Aston. And the BMW and anything that has an engine in the front of it. But anyway, 1 minute 40 to go, and this will be the final lap of this race. So, Lamb dominantly leading out the front by a big margin. We won't even get to see the margin until a few seconds from now because Reynolds hasn't crossed the line. But as they come to the line, there's a yellow flag from the 383. 14 seconds is the gap from P1 to P2. So we're on the final lap here. This is where moves will either be made beautifully or in complete desperation, and hopefully it is the first, or maybe they'll even decide to stay single file. We'll have to see. But McNeil is not under actually too much pressure from Ellis yet, as camera 2 car stopped on the inside of the chicane. But yeah, Ellis wasn't able to put any pressure on down into turn 1, and I think McNeil knows unless he makes a mistake, he should be safe then for the majority of the rest of the lap, and Reynolds is definitely in the clear, 1.2 seconds out in front of McNeil as we reach 36 seconds to go in this race. It has been a very quick feeling hour, and it all comes down to this for the final spot of the podium as they head towards Sector 2. Ellis versus McNeil. Not McLaren, what am I saying? Sorry, I saw Lamb on the leaderboard and I said McLaren. Lambo versus Porsche. And it is going to come down to one final mini straight and 3 tricky corners. So quickly to the right they go. The Porsche isn't quite able to stay with the Lambo completely, and I think McNeil has this as Lamb is going to has already, I think, gotten to the final corner. No, is rounding the final corner currently and comes to the line to take the win by a dominant display of 14 seconds in Hungary at the Hungaroring in the wet conditions. Ashton Reynolds will come home P2, and McNeil holds on to his final podium place. The Porsche of Ellis not able to get it done quite in time, and Ellis takes home the P4. Holmes then quite a distance behind them is rounding the final corner as we look to Nathan versus Walsh for P9, and I think Nathan has this one secured unless he makes a drastic error as Holmes comes home P5, and Lely with an absolutely stunning drive rounds the final corner from the back of the grid to end up in the top 6. So Sebastian Vettel liveried Aston Martin, a great drive, a great display, and McKellar comes home P7, Appreciato P8. It's a Valvoline together crossing the line. And then we have McDowell coming home P11, Monks came home P9, Walsh came home P10, Sweeney picks up the P12, Thistlethwaite will pick up P13. Then you have Scanlon just in behind in P14. Then Williams will come home in P15 as we look at Johnston trying to get by the Ferrari here in the dying corners of this race. One corner to go for him as they head towards the final corner. He made a mistake and went to dry. Still manages to pick up a P17, so not too bad at all as a recovery as they cross the line there. So you see Williams P15, Perkins P16, Johnston P17, Ben Curtis P18, McLaughlin gets P9, Whittaker gets P20, Boxall is P21. Then you have Burton and Lewis, and that is all I can see on the leaderboard. But yeah, a great wet race around Hungary that was.
That was a fantastic race. So that was Simrigs.com Octane Online Racing Split Blue Action Round 6 from the Hungaroring. Your overall positions is Matthew Lamb takes a dominant performance in the McLaren, absolutely blitzed them. Reynolds in second, McNeil in third, and Ellis there in fourth position, and Holmes there in fifth. As we will go across now to our silver class, and is Lele from McKellar, Monks, Walsh, and Sweeney. Pro-Am, Appreciato, Curtis, McLaughlin, Whittaker, and Boxy. And then in our AM class, it is Williams, Stratford, Kung, Brooker, and Saruki. There we go. Wow, that was a good race. I enjoyed that. Drive of the day, Lele, 100%. Fantastic drive. And a special shout out to Reynolds as well. To keep that Merc in second position, that is a huge, huge drive. But that is Split Blue run and done. Thank you, Lindsay. It's been a pleasure. And
yeah, it's been a pleasure commentating with you as well.
We're going to move along now to, I believe, we're going to have a break and then pop into Split Red.
Yeah.
G'day chat. G'day viewers. G'day everyone watching on Twitch and YouTube. Welcome to Split Red, Split SRO Asia. It's great to have you back after a pretty spectacular Split Blue race. My name, as per usual, is Tom Maloney, and I'm joined by the wonderful Mr. Jamie Comboy. Good evening to you, sir.
Thank you, Tom Maloney, for another wonderful introduction. Hello, chat. Hello, Thursday evening. Hello, Friday tomorrow. Very excited always to get in here and hang out with you for an hour and get ready for the weekend ahead. So, yeah, I'm just going to kick back and watch some slippery Split Red. Let's go.
Very keen to see what these guys can do. Definitely keen for a Yeah Friday Woo in the Work Slack channel tomorrow morning as well. Looking forward to a nice little weekend, but we're going to follow a BMW around for the outlaps here. We got Alpha and Danny on screen at the moment, just getting those tyres warmed up in qualifying. And it's been a pretty close little run around in Split Red as well, so this championship is going to be nice and tight all the way through to the end, pending some results coming through. Mike Crick, without any purple on the car.
Yeah, he's not standing out this evening. I've never heard of the Meiji chocolate, but that's the chocolate livery that Cricky was unable to get to us last week. He's put a lot of effort into my Turkish Delight livery, and he put so much effort into that he ran out of time for himself. That's how generous he is. He's gone and put others above himself. But now that we got the second week to have a crack at it, he's had a bit of time to finish this one off. So yeah, the Meiji chocolate, no idea what this is, and Cricky hasn't left me with a rundown of what this is, but I don't know where that chocolate comes from. Saxon Hayes gets a chance to run his Turkish Delight delivery. We had a look at this on the stream last week. This is the proper stuff, not your fries or your Cadbury's or anything like that. So yeah, a couple of more chocolate liveries getting on stream tonight. Obviously missing out last week, so a good chance to get them a run. This is another one that was missing last week from Lucas Keys, the IKEA chocolate.
Build your own. Just did some Googling. Meiji chocolate has been an iconic brand in Japan since 1926.
There you go. So the GTR wearing the Japanese badge and the Japanese livery. And that is
in timeout.
Yeah, nice. Well, that's well done by you.
Stole it off, man.
That's Underwood, I believe, and the other GTR sitting in there. No, that's a very good one. Very sharp from you. I'm going to have to lift my game. Goodness gracious. I've just sat up a little straighter in my chair. That's very good. Very sharp.
Too easy.
Haramalo Koala, I think, is that one there. That's a good one too.
Has anyone done a Yowie livery?
Oh, Yowies would be a rare thing, I think. I don't know many people know what a Yowie is. I certainly do. Coming from Queensland when I was little, that was all it was up there, really, was the Yowies. I think there might be a regional thing, though.
And sorry, I'll have to give credit for that joke to JLS, who's thrown that timeout joke into the race control bot. So big shout out to JLS, the race director tonight. JP Sonicus, the current championship leader, throws down a 51.8 to start the times off. That is a handy time in these conditions. It's always pretty hard to compare. Water is water, and it's always going to be different. But
is this Mitchell Bendike? It absolutely is. He's thrown a bunch of different chocolates together on the one liter. He loves it. He loves standing out, and I'm all for it. So what do we got? There's a Kit Kat on the top. There's
Milo
at the front. So
that's
Milo
just Milo on the door, isn't it?
Okay. Yep. What is going on? Milo Kit Kat. Good on him. I'm all for that. Still got the pink on the rims too. You
can get Milo Milky Bar now.
Milo Milky Bar. Let me run that through the virtual taste buds. That's not bad. That's not horrible. I do love a Milky Bar. Milo in the Milky Bar. Yeah, I can roll with that. That's all right.
Yeah, seems like it makes sense. The Whittaker's livery here from Scotty Rochford. Another classic from the Annihilatic. It's a nice little colour he's got going too. It suits the car pretty well. Zach Jensen, what's he running? Toblerone. Car's almost a pyramid shape, you got to, I guess.
Yeah, this is a good one from Biggie. Ran this one last week as well, and just running very wide there. That curb on the outside there, very slippery for anyone who hasn't been racing this week. There's a couple of curbs here that you can use. That one on the outside of turn 1 is a big no-no if you want a good lap, because it just engages TC and throws you all over the place. You lose lots of time, so he'll be trying to avoid that one on his next lap as Lucas Keys goes to the top of the pops into the 50s now, going pretty quickly. These fellas in split red, as we are so used to.
He's absolutely smashed it out, and Shady Samuel's gone at 3/10 slower, so a nice little benchmark there from the young Lucas Keys, currently P2 in the championship. Ben Floyd decides I'm going to find someone else to do some laps with because the guy in front of me wasn't suiting my style very well.
Yeah, I don't know whether he was valid or not, but he's just thought, I'm going to return to pits and chuck some freshies on. I've got 5.5 minutes to get out there and find a bit of space, and I'll have another go. He's already got a reasonable little banker sitting there in P9, I think he was, Ben Floyd, so not horrible. Peach got a bit of work to do, 8/10 off the pace. Carl Johnson currently sitting in P3 is a very good effort with 5 minutes to go.
Wet weather specialist is old man Carl Johnson. It's very, very good to see. You'd think the boat would do well in these conditions, but JP, ever the most experienced operator of this car, is doing a pretty good job hauling this thing around.
Yeah,
He's got to find another 10th and a bit.
7/10. Delta just screaming upwards. 8/10. Doing a very good job. But it did used to be very quick in the wet, the Bentley. I'm not sure it's still the case, but it can't be that bad being a front engine car. So you would assume he's got a couple more in him. 9/10 now, so this is good enough for pole. If you can get it around the final corner here in pretty good shape. Very tidy on entry and maybe a little too tidy on exit, but it should be enough to sneak him up the top into the mid-70s, or mid-50s, yep.
Jody's found a 10th. It's not going to be enough to get him in front of Lucas, but it'll solidify P3 in front of Carl Johnson for him. We'll follow Mr. Allahy as well, who is definitely quick enough to be fighting around up there in the top 5 as well. He's not currently having too much fun on this lap, and he's going to return to garage as well, just for all Ben's efforts of putting him on camera. Lucas Keys in the Lexus running around. He was obviously on pole before. JP's just beaten him, so I think he's just heading out there to do a warm-up lap and then start trying to improve that time again. Ramez Samuel, I think that's exactly a second off the pace. He's in the, also put the Q in the rack. He'll have to come back out for one more attempt and having a look down the field, see if there's anything else going on, but it's all sort of as we'd sort of expect for the championship standings at the moment.
Yeah, well, speaking of, as you said before, John Pierre Circus currently P1 with a pretty handy lead too. Nearly 100 points the gap now to Lucas Keys. Don't want to quote these too much. I do believe there's a couple of updates to be done. Like I'm looking at Silver, and David Bartlett's currently in the lead at Silver on the website, but I know that Carl Johnson is actually in the lead in Silver. So I think a couple of post-race pens from last week have either been reversed or not updated. Of course, our great and fearless leaders, Glenn Germain, Malik, everyone, Matty Powell as well. I think they're all away on a tea break at the moment. I'm not sure whether they're camping together or what's going on there, but they're all away from their desks. So there's a few things that haven't quite been. But this Silver battle is so close. David Bartlett, Brad Palmer, and Carl Johnson. On the website, they're only... What's
12
that?
points
12
within the
points.
three of them, yeah.
12 points between the three of them. So as I said, I know that that's not entirely accurate, but it's pretty close. So yeah, that's an incredible battle for Silver. And then the Pro-Am battle pretty close as well with Ramez Samuel and Scotty Rockford fighting that one out with Malith Ananyake. So all three battles here, the Pro, the Silver, and the Pro-Am, all really close. So it is such an interesting split to watch and has really developed into a spicy one coming towards the end of the season. We've got Hungary this week. We're off to Nürburgring next week. That'll be very interesting too, the 75-minute no-stopper. And then I think we've got one more round in Spa after that. So we're starting to round it out, Tom.
Well, and even scrolling down to the AM battle, John Hislop currently in the lead ahead of Rob Brickley by only 14 points as well, so plenty to play for. Ben Floyd is going to, I don't know if this lap's actually valid or not, which is some Kunos timing bugs, but if it is valid, he's got a fair chunk of time up on the last one, so that'll leap him up the timing sheets a little bit. He's got some traffic in front of him. Is that Rally in front of him? Maybe. Not quite sure, but that'll stifle his efforts at this next lap, and his next lap's basically all he's got. He goes up to P5 with a 151.4. We're on board here with Shady Samuel, who's currently not really sort of making any dents on his last lap. We'll see if he can gain some time through the back half of this middle. Carl Johnson finding more and more time. Currently P2, P3 in the silver class, and this will definitely put him in good stead to make a dent in the lead of that class if he can keep this up for the rest of the quali session. Keeping it nice and clean at the moment.
I don't think Floyd's got much more improvement in him unless he managed to get around Relahi into turn one there. I didn't quite see what happened to that, but if Floyd can't get another lap in, that is going to put Carlos Johnson on the second row, even if he can't get much more out of this lap. He's got one more in him too, Carlos. This is a very strong performance from Carl Johnson.
Well, and Ramez Samuel as well in the Pro-Am Mercedes P6 is a pretty spectacular effort. Lucas Keys has found a chunk of time into turn one. So is JP Sonicus. I think the track's getting a little bit faster. This is going to be last lap over the line to see who takes pole here, I think. Floyd's parked it. He's put the Q in the rack. That'll do him. At best, P5 for him. JP at the moment, he's found just under half a tenth here. Going up the hill towards turn 4. That is Saxon Hayes going very wide at the back there. We'll see if he can continue to find time through Sector 2. He goes very wide onto the very wet painted concrete there. Doesn't find too much time and loses a little bit as well. So rest the lap to try and find a little bit more. Ramez Samuel has found almost half a second here. Coming through the last corner now. Runs it a little bit deep just to open up his exit. And that delta just keeps ticking up and up. He's going to find another third of a second. That'll put him into P6 ahead of Brad Palmer.
Nice.
That is a spectacular lap.
Good stuff, Ramez. That's a very handy lap for sure. Joining his brother up there in the top 6. 2 Samuels inside the top 6. So pretty good effort for that family. Good effort from Ramez to be up there in P6 overall. That'll really help his chances of chasing down Scott Rockford in the Pro-Am battle.
That new rig doing Ramez all sorts of favours. I don't think Lucas is going to find that half a tenth he needs to beat JP Sonicus to pole position unless he made an absolute meal of that last corner in the last lap. I don't think he did. And so that'll do it. And he turns traction control off for good measure. Doesn't quite keep it out of the wall. So the front two have both put the Q in the rack. We're waiting to see if Shady Samuel can find a little bit more. He has got almost a third of a second. This is going to be very, very close to see if Shady can... Oh, sorry, this is Pete Viney.
Shady's invalid coming around the last corner, so he's done. So just car 73 and our man Tark's here.
This 2/10 will find him a fair few spots. It's pretty close here in the back half of the top 20.
Oh, good exit. Oh, nearly. It was going to be 2/10, but it looks like it's just going to weed away and it's going to keep him just behind Mike Crick, who is once again inside the top 20. So good little exciting qualifying session there, especially towards the end. As you said, it kind of got a little bit quicker and a few drivers found decent chunks of time.
Oh, it is JP Sonicus on pole, Lucas Keys in the Lexus in P2, Shady Samuel in the Mustang P3, Carlos Johnson, the lead silver driver, P4, Ben Floyd P5, Ramez Samuel P6, and then looking further down the field to see if there's any other sort of extraordinary. Brett Randell, the lead AM driver in P14, Sam O'Brien P16, Rob Brickley P17 are your AM challengers this evening. Mike Crick down there, P18, Pete Viney, P19. They were very, very close on lap time. So we'll have a look, see if there's any other chocolate liveries. As we said, Lucas Keys in the IKEA chocolate.
Chocolate nut. Nut. When
are you going to put a Pingu in your livery?
Next week.
Next week. Cool. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, I've gone pretty hard with the liveries this season. It's been a lot of fun making Cricky do all the work.
Definitely.
Porsche there, I'm still a big fan of it. It's not a chocolate livery this night, but that big Atlanta Hawks chocolate, that livery for the Porsche, I love that one. It's not a chocolate, sorry. It's chocolate charcoal grey.
We're going to go on past Corey Sweet there in the Kaiser Motorsport Mustang. Porsche, BMW. Not too many chocolate liveries here. Got Scott Rochford in the Whitaker's livery there.
We love acid. We were talking about last week how much we love acid.
What sort of acid?
No, it was no. We moved past that. We actually looked it up. We googled it. I can't remember. It's in the team name, but it's got nothing to do with acid. Move on.
Another Bentley back here for Zach Jensen. And we're into the Caramello Koala. I like that.
Yeah, nice livery, O'Brien. Big fan of that one. I like caramellos in all its form. I do like old gold too, though. So this is a big win for me. Suits the Bentley too. This chocolate seems to be a Bentley kind of chocolate, I reckon. So that's a good one. That one. We like this one as well from Cricky. As you said, a very old Japanese style chocolate. This one. And the Japanese chocolate on the Japanese vehicle. Well done.
Turkish Delight. All right, easy peasy.
That's a top tier livery for mine. That's a really big winner.
Move on from this Ferrari.
Soapy's Weeb Ferrari's a nice one. I like it. It's pretty. Ben Dyke's not winning any awards, but he's won our hearts.
He's put some effort into it this time, though. At least you got to give him that.
No, yep. I can't argue that. He's turned up.
The Milo around the windscreen is definitely a thing. And rounding out the back of the grid, we got the Toblerone Mustang. Very, very appropriate. And Rob Underwood's Quali Band GTR. So Lucas Keys currently with JP Sonicus in the pits.
Oh my goodness.
What has happened there?
Oh dear. The championship leader starting from the pits. That's a big F.
Is that a technical issue? Is that... Looking forward to hearing what might have caused that to happen. That means that Lucas Keys currently is on net pole position. Shady Samuel now technically on the front row. And Carlos Johnson up into net P3 with that.
Peach bugged into the pits. Yeah, I don't doubt that because he's usually all over it. He gave me shit for not getting my tyres right, so he better not have fucked anything up because he won't hear the end of it. I'll give you the tip. That'll be his drop round too. Last week, Jean-Pierre and Lucas Keys. Actually, no, Lucas has got a drop round back in Barcelona, but they've both got very high-scoring drop rounds because they're both very consistent drivers, obviously. So, I mean, you'd never put it past Peach to get a good result out of this, but to come back from there on a track where it's extremely difficult to pass, in the wet, it would be a monumental effort from Peach to get any sort of good result out of this now. So that could very well be his drop round now, which, yeah, would help Lucas Keys a fair bit in the chase for the championship. He's got to make up 84 points, but that'll help if Lucas can start from the front and Peach has got to start from the back.
Yeah, we saw Lele make it from the back of the grid up to P6 in the race just gone. So there's a little benchmark for him. Yeah, I think he was at the back of the grid. I heard some rumblings about that.
He definitely was at the back of the grid. I didn't see where he finished. That's a bloody good effort from Lele. Nice
P6,
work.
It's very, very good.
Very solid.
The grid's reformed. Everyone's managed to work out that Page is no longer there. And Lucas is going to have the inside into turn one, which is a pretty nice place to be. It's two very, very strong cars in a straight line, though, against each other. So we'll let these boys all form up the grid for the race start for Split Red. Lucas Keys leading us away from Shady Samuel, from Carl Johnson, from Ben Floyd, and from Remez Samuel. We're waiting for the green flag. And they're going. Lucas, obviously, with that front row to himself, has got a pretty clean start. Looks like Carl Johnson's actually managed to get past Shady Samuel there. The launch from the Porsche absolutely helping. He's got the inside line into T1, so Shady's managed to hang it round the outside, but Carl's got that better exit, and he's managed to sneak himself up into P2. That's Shady into P3, Ben Floyd into P4, and Remez Samuel still in P5. So a nice clean start. There's one yellow flag at the back there. I think that's car 60 that I can see on the screen there. So
Luth in car 66, unfortunately. Otherwise, everyone else got through the back pretty cleanly. And there was a bit of a car park at turn one with a few cars having to stop, but they did a very good job. Most of them got through pretty cleanly. So unlucky for Bluth to be the only one who turns up a yellow. And then up here into turn four they go.
So I think that was Shady up the inside of Carl Johnson into P5. That is a pretty exciting place to make a move. Very, very well done. Very good job from both cars to not make that into an accident. So Shady's up into P2 up to challenge Lucas Keys. Carl Johnson P3. Ben Floyd now all over the back of the silver class. Carl Johnson for the last step of the podium. So we'll see if Shady can make a dent in that lead for Lucas. It's currently a pretty comfortable 1 second. But we'll see how well that Lexus treats its tyres. And JP already not in last after the spin for Bluth.
So I'm going to be keeping a pretty close eye on this man right here, Carl Johnson. On paper, probably not as quick as the guys that he's racing here, but he's clearly shown that he's got the pace in the wet in this Porsche. So he's just got to believe in himself a little bit here and say, oh, you know what, I've put myself up here in qualifying. I can match it with these boys in these conditions. He knows it's not going to dry out. He knows that these conditions are his to roll for the rest of the race. So I want to see him have a good one here. Here's what happened to Bluth at turn 1. It's the car on the outside there. Just a little tap. 1, 2, 3, and around they go. And he does well there to hold the brakes and not affect anyone else's race. So I said they got all through there pretty cleanly. They did. It was just an unfortunate little tap there and some Kunos physics that sent him around. Interesting shout from Graham Hill in the chat. Peach in the pit lane at the 5-minute mark. What do you reckon about that, Tom?
I reckon if he's stuck in traffic, that is absolutely the best decision to make because, as you said, this is a very, very challenging track to pass on. And if he can just give himself some clear air, that is Ben Floyd going around there right on camera, right on cue. Suboptimal start to the race for him, so he'll have to wait for all those cars to go past. But we're going to have a replay here of where Shady went down the inside of Carl. Carl got a little bit loose on the exit curve there of turn 4, and Shady said thank you very much, and Carl managed to wrap everything up to make sure that Ben Floyd couldn't sneak his way through, but that sent Ben Floyd all the way down there to P21. But going back to what I was saying before, if Page is going to be stuck in traffic, absolutely just pit and then just run your own race. Obviously tyre wear is not a huge thing in these wet races, so he can just keep rumbling on through. That car will make it the 55 odd minutes. And we'll go over a replay of what happened here. It's a bit reminiscent, actually.
Oh, massive tank slap. Unlucky.
Managed to get it stopped before the wall, though. So keep calm, carry on.
So he might be another one who goes with the same strategy now that he's back in the pack. 87 now with the yellow flag as well. So there's just a few falling off in these tricky conditions. But yeah, Floyd might be another one who bites the bullet and sorts himself out on some clear track and tries to make up some time that way. Lucas Keys out the front, already 2.5 seconds clear of the Ford of Shady Samuel, with a 151.3 up on the board. Cricky getting sideways.
Not the line. Definitely not the line, unfortunately, for Mike. So not the greatest start for a couple of drivers. Millet and Aniaki up to P7 as well. This is also very good. So Ramez Samuel, P4. Rob Underwood poking that GDR up the inside of Pete Viney and doesn't get the exit enough. So JP Sonic is going back to that pitting. This is slowing him down. All is battling. He's alongside Ben Floyd when, you know, you'd usually expect the guys to be battling side by side in the top 5, but they're down P20, P21. So some good progress already from JP, but yeah, definitely you'd have to think pitting soon just to get out of this traffic and just make sure he can run his own pace would sort of be something you have to start thinking about.
Absolutely, and they've got Underwood in front. Well, I said they had Underwood in front of him just as he exited stage left. Underwood obviously coming from the back of the pack as well, and Floyd making his way through there, and 2 cars not going into one. Underwood not quite giving enough room, and Floyd saying, get out of the way, son. And Floyd following Peach through there. But I was going to say, that would have been a very interesting watch if Underwood had to have held on to that, because he's obviously trying to come from the back of the pack as well and has a bit of pace in this GTR. But yeah, that mistake put paid to that.
We're up to P18 for JP already. So P6 is the target set by Lele in the last race. We're here with Zach Warren. So gets a massive tank slapper on the way in to the second last corner. This little battle here with Ralahi and Ananiaki just ahead. They're going to be nip and tuck for the rest of this race, you have to say, because they're all on similar pace. They're all in cars that aren't particularly sort of strong in exits or anything like that. We've got Brad Palmer defending from Corey Sweet here, takes the inside line, then just decides he's going to open the door and let him through. So there'll be a couple little battles here that'll just sort of keep going on and on through this race.
Yeah, it's almost like a reverse grid. There is just there's a lot of drivers who are a little bit out of position. All credit to them for qualifying well, and a few cars obviously that didn't quite qualify as well as they may normally have done, either in the dry or just not quite getting the space they needed. We watched Floyd get stuck in traffic a couple of times in qualifying. So yeah, it looks a bit like a bit of a mixed up grid here in Split Red, which is just it's going to create some interest as we go on for sure.
Already got 2 cars, the Pittsburgh car 117 and 488. So Rob Underwood has come into the pits as well to get out of that traffic, and he's now in some very, very nice clear air. So that's sort of where the early pit stop comes into its own. He can just do his own thing without anyone around him and just pick his way past all these guys that are battling.
117 is Payno. Is he still in the Lexus? I think he was going to switch out of the Lexus at some point earlier on in the season, and he got rebuked because we're like, not allowed to do that till mid-season. Now that we've passed the mid-season point, what a chat. He's committed to the Lexus. I rate that.
Stockholm syndrome at this point, isn't it? You've learned you've worked out how to drive it. You just stick with it.
Yeah, good on him. I rate that from Payno. So yeah, he's another one who's going to be in some clean air now and gets to really just set his own pace and set his own laps, see how he goes. Back up here in the traffic, Warren, as you said, doing a very nice job here in the Porsche. The Porsche, super duper strong in these wet conditions. Johnson and Palmer also inside the top 10. And the Ford, interestingly, doing pretty well as well in these wet conditions. I don't think the Ford's particularly strong in the wet, but it seems to have done pretty well in a couple of splits already, so maybe not as weak as a few are making it out to be. Relahi getting the inside line here as Warren goes just a little bit deep. So that's a swap for position 8. Nice work to Relahi getting that one done.
We'll see how much more time that Relahi can make up on the next cars in the field. So Adoniaki just a bit further up. Callum in chat saying that Lucas Keys is running away. That gap is almost 3 seconds now. So he's got that stable. He's slowly extending it. You can trust that Shady's obviously is a very, very quick driver, so he can just sort of both run their own thing until the pit stop, both cars just ignoring curbs. And then Carl's having to treat them appropriately. It's always fun watching Carlos drive because he does enjoy sliding the car around. That's why he's so quick in these wet conditions, because he's very comfortable with the car moving around and sort of having to keep stabs at the steering, stabs at the throttle, stabs at the brakes. Mike Reel with the first penalty of the race for a collision on lap 1, down there in 23rd position. So Carlos will be comfortable there. He's got a decent gap to Ramez Samuel. The gap to Shady's not billowing out. He'll be comfortable there, and sort of just making sure that he keeps doing the same thing for the next 50 odd minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he's in a pretty good spot, to be honest. I think when he let Shady through before, he said, that's a teammate. I don't mind losing that one. And then he closed the door on Floyd and said, no more. This is my P3. And now that sort of Floyd's out of his mirrors, I think he's probably comfortable having Ramez for pace and knows that he can't quite catch Shady. So he's just in a bit of a world of his own there, Carlos. And I think he'd be very happy with that.
He's definitely happy to get his elbows out as well. So not having to do that definitely makes it easier to do your own thing. We saw a 5-second penalty there for Rob Underwood for an infraction. And I don't know if that is a second penalty for Mike Reel. So 30 seconds of pain for his compulsory pit stop at some point in this race. That'll make his life a little bit more challenging going forward, because there's obviously not too many cars behind in there as well. So we're following Corey here, who hasn't managed to get any distance between himself and Brad Palmer after making that overtake before. So Corey not exactly enjoying relative to sort of who you'd expect him to be sort of battling these wet conditions, you'd have to say.
Yeah, goes back to my point before. I didn't think the Ford was particularly strong in the wet, and obviously we know the Porsche is definitely the strongest car in the wet. So yeah, that's just brought the it's the great equalizer is the rain, and it sort of throws the idea of bop out the window, because I think the bop would be completely different if we were to do wet races every week. But No, it makes for an interesting mid-season race, that's for sure. As I said, it looks almost like a mixed grid with these cars all over the place. Page has done so bloody well to be up here in P14 already.
Absolutely, he's kept his nose clean. I haven't seen any sort of penalties come up for him either, so he hasn't been just barging his way through. He's used that experience to just make sure that he's getting through and doing what he can do. Alpha and Danny here, P11 has got Scotty Rochford all over the back of him for that position. So another little battle here, and JP will be all over the back of these guys sooner rather than later. Got a replay here of what happened to car 284. Is this a pass up the inside into the second last corner? It might be.
It's Relahi on, I believe that's Adanyake, unless there's another Ford that looks just like that. That's a nice clean
It
move
is,
there
yeah,
from
very
Lahi.
nicely done.
Auto clutch ID. Not acid. No, I was as disappointed as you.
I only just picked it up, so I've had a long day as Scott Rochford lets through the teammate JP Sonicus to have a crack at Alf and Danny and see if that getting through also entitles him to a little bit of space and to make it a 2-for-1 deal. So Alfan now has a very large Bentley Continental to fill his mirrors. For definitely having a Bentley or a BMW.
I wouldn't want a Page in my mirrors, that's for sure. I think that's going to be one of the reasons that Page has made it through so clean. He is very well known within OR, but also known as the champion leader. So we didn't get to see many of those overtakes. I wouldn't be surprised if the door just opened nice and gently and let the big fella through, because you would be battling him too and cost yourself a big old chunk of time, and that would also inevitably end in tears if the big fella wants to get through. He's probably going to find his way through at some point. I tell you what, Alfan's just putting on a bit of a show here for us. He's not making it easy for Page at all. He's
Not at all.
car in all the right places.
Watching Page just sort of all over the back. Oh, that's a big old slide as well. All over the back of that car in these conditions is particularly challenging. So we got the main sort of overtaking sort of part of the track coming out now. We'll see if he gets a good exit. It looks like it's pretty good. So we'll see how much of a fight Alfan puts up, and if JP's got enough of a run to poke his nose up the inside into T1. Doesn't look like it so far, but he does.
Oh, he is going to have a go, though.
No.
I tell you what. No rights to that corner. That looked like it was coming. That was Page, return to pits? It was. I reckon he's had enough.
Yeah, he's called it a night, I think, unfortunately. So that's the end of that recovery.
Well, there you go. It's been that kind of night. There's been a fair few that have pulled the pin pretty early, myself included, just quietly. And it's just that kind of... It's just that kind of track when you make such a big effort they pull off clean overtakes, but there's really nowhere to do it. And Page didn't have the run there at all and tried to get the nose up the inside by the time they got to the turning point, but it wasn't there. And then because he was in the wet, just didn't pull up for him. He understeers out. He hits the BMW. And with a penalty on the way, Page said, "That's enough for me. Thank you very much." There you go. Another one bites the dust.
That'll be music to the ears of Lucas Keys, who's still got that 2.5-second lead over Shady Samuel. Shady's just starting to stretch that lead over Carl as well. That's almost 6 seconds now. So Ben Floyd is up to P12, profiting after that little whoopsie. Scott Rochford having to go around the outside of both of those pirouetting front-engine cars.
Here's Tarks. What's he gotten up to? He's
Good
another
save.
one in the Porsche. He's another one getting a bit crossed over in the hands, and another one who seems to be pretty comfortable doing so. From the Kovacs school of sliding.
As long as he's not running TC0. So I think Ben Floyd's now the car to watch if you're keen on last to first challenges. After his little spin before. No damage on that Mustang so far. Carl Johnson now has Remez making some progress on that gap now. So he'll be starting to think about now, how do I position my car? How do I drive so that Remez doesn't have a chance, rather than just making sure that he's maximising his pace. So that'll be something for Carl to think about. Ben Floyd here is going to go have a think about a move into turn 4 here over Brent Randell. He had a compromised entry into turn 3. He's going to poke his nose up the inside here into turn 4. There's barely a braking zone here. And he thinks better of it. So it'll be another lap stuck behind that McLaren for Ben Floyd.
That's my man Blake Randall doing pretty bloody well up there in P11, by the way. That's
very good effort.
A very solid outing from him. He's had an up and down season so far after coming up from the rookies. Him and his mate Price Davies have jumped up here to have a go in the Sprint Series, and Randall certainly showing his pace in a few races this season, having a very good Silverstone until it all went backwards there for a bit. But yeah, without wanting to curse him, we're only 17 minutes into this one, but he's looking pretty handy up there in P11. That's a good showing.
Absolutely, and holding off a very, very high caliber driver in Ben Floyd. So good to see him continuing to do so. Here's Scott Rochford coming into turn 4. Replay and getting a little bit too much curb and bonking the wall. That'll be why we saw Pete Viney going up the inside into the chicane. So the McLaren likes its front downforce, and that's not how you keep front downforce.
Well, Floyd's got a good run here. This is a very nice run from the Ford out of the last corner. He didn't spend too long on those outside curbs, so the TC wasn't engaged for all that long, and he managed to put down some nice traction and made that move look particularly easy on the way down to turn 1, which, yeah, as we've discussed, is probably the number 1 spot for overtakes. If you can get a good run out of that last corner, and there's a couple of cars who really did squat down nicely out of that last corner. Randall going a little bit wide and getting a bit of the AstroTurf on the outside, meaning he lost a fair bit of speed. So Floyd getting that one done nicely. Up at a P11 now for Benjamin Floyd on his way back into the top 10.
One more to go, and Brad Palmer has lost touch a little bit with the back of that Mustang of Corey Sweet, and he's now got Mr. Elahi in the BMW all over the back of him. He's going to get pretty tired of having very, very rapid pro drivers climbing all over the back end of that Porsche. And he's been definitely holding his own with those battles as well, you got to say. So we'll keep an eye on this one as well. Riley going very, very wide onto that painted concrete. That won't give him the run he needs down here into the third last corner. And it'll be a pretty massive effort from Raleigh to sort of make up enough time to be able to run into turn 1 from here. So you Brad Palmer, you can sort of not relax. We're going to go for a replay here of Mike Reel doing the same thing as Scott Rochford.
That is a very deadly curb on the outside of turn 4 there.
It's kind of deadly in the dry too. It's a very, very challenging corner.
Yep. Yep, because you're trying to gather yourself up. You need to get as far back to the left as you can for that uphill right-hander at turn 5. But yeah, if you're pulling on the steering too much, it's very easy to loop it there. And we've seen a couple already tonight in this split alone, but we've seen plenty of that this week. So that's the spot if you are going to pick up some damage.
Yeah, as you said, you know, you're trying to get it as far left as possible very quickly, and if the car's going to rotate itself that way as well, that wall on the left-hand side as well is very, very close. So not a whole lot of room to make that mistake. And unfortunately, a couple of drivers have now felt the consequences of a mistake there. That BMW just gliding through the chicane there. Definitely looking a little bit more comfortable, you have to say. The car looking a little bit more settled than the Porsche in front of him. So if he can manage to get this last sector done and dusted cleanly, you'll be thinking very comfortably about the run down to turn 1. And just looking at the front, that gap between Lucas Keys and Shady Samuel down to 1.5 seconds. So Shady hasn't given up on this one.
Tell you what, Nirasan driving very nicely here too. I can't remember exactly where he qualified, but it was a fair way down. But he certainly found the race pace here in the BMW, and he's putting a lot of pressure on Brad Palmer in this Porsche here. And Brad just going a little bit wide there, so we'll see how much of this AstroTurf he takes. It is not as much as I thought he was. He's actually managed to pull that up nicely, has Brad. So he'll be able to defend down into turn 1 here, and has chosen the inside line pretty early on. So he's going to make Relahi have a crack around the outside, and he's decided against that. But he's going to try the over-under, but no, Brad's got that car in the right place. So good defence there from Palmer again. But yeah, Nirasan with some very strong pace here, coming up towards the first pit stop, looking very strong. Oh, never mind. That's very deep. What are we doing out there? Fix that up, Relahi. No, it's going to cost him a second or two. Up until then, it was very good.
Absolutely, and it was almost a perfect display of defensive driving there from Brad Palmer as well. Put the car exactly where it meant that Mr. Raleigh could not get a run in any way, shape or form off the apex of turn 1. So very, very good display of defensive driving there. Ramez Samuel still hunting down this gap to Carl Johnson. It'll be pretty special to see both Samuels on a sprint race podium, so that'll be motivating him on. But regardless, these two guys are absolutely killing it for their classes at the moment. For a silver driver to be P3 and a Pro-Am P4 is pretty special. So very, very good to see these guys still running as well as they are and still maintaining that gap to Corey Sweet back there in P5. Ramez Samuel, recently the recipient of a brand new Simrigs Exodus rig, and just going to quickly shout out the sponsor of the Sprint Series here, Simrigs.com. If you're a Patreon of OOR, they've very generously offered a 5% discount. So if you're looking to contribute to OOR in one way or another, you can definitely get your money back on the purchase of a very, very schmick sim racing rig from Simrigs, or some magic gear. So if that's something you're looking for, definitely something to consider, as Ramez still hunts down Carl Johnson here into turn 1.
I was having a little window browse through the Simrigs website the other day. Very clean website too, by the way. They're at simrigs.com, and they're bloody giving stuff away in there. It's a very, very low prices. So getting an extra 5% off that, you're laughing. If you go anywhere else, you're pretty silly.
Literally free money. And they run a pretty tight little shop up there in Simrigs as well. If they ship it out, they ship it out pretty quickly, and they ship it out as fast as they can. So well worth giving them a check out if you're looking to upgrade anything in the very near future. Still following here, Carl Johnson and Ramez Samuel, one of the closer battles on the track at the moment. Less than half a second separating these two gentlemen. And we're coming up to sort of that half race distance as well. As this is when you start thinking about, do I have a pit stop? Do I get myself some clear air? There's not a huge amount of clear air on the racetrack at the moment, but is it better for Ramez to sort of get out of there and do his own thing?
Oh, what's going on back here? So this is Soapy Graham there. No, that's Saxon Hayes, and there's Ben Dyke up the inside of Saxon Hayes. Oh, there's a bit of rubbers in race. They went side by side through turn 4, and then they were side by side through turn 5. Hold on to it, Saxon. Keep it out of the wall. He's all right. Keep going. He'll be right. He's come off second best there, but I wouldn't mind having a little look at that one again, because I'm not sure how much room was left there for poor old Saxon. He didn't ever have much else to go. But anyway, that was a good little battle for a couple of corners in a row there. Ben Dyke and Hayes side by side.
The cars very, very close together. We didn't really spot that before, so
yeah, Saxon right on the edge of the road there. He would have been in the grass if he went any further left, so he didn't have a great deal of room left to him.
But, stewards will have a look.
Wouldn't be surprised if that's a racing incident, just quietly. There's certainly nothing particularly wrong from either driver. It was just it was a good battle that ended unfortunately for one driver.
Lots of cars in close proximity, that sort of stuff just tends to happen. Here we go. We've got a McLaren rejoining the track and just sort of causing a little bit of a logjam here. Ben Dyke has to jump on the brakes because that McLaren's going absolutely nowhere. We're going to go 3 wide here into turn 4. And this is why it got all messy. Is Saxon and Ben Dyke already coming to blows before turn 4 there.
Yes, that's how
wet
all
racing
that
fun.
started. Yeah. As you said, it was O'Brien in the Caramello entry that sort of kicked all that off by not getting turn 3 right at all.
And we've seen Raleigh jump into the pits as well, so we'll have a look and sort of see where he ends up relative to the cars around him. So that's going to start the cycle off, you'd have to say. Lucas Keys and Shady Samuel still within that sort of sub 2.5 second gap to each other. Ramez not really able to make too much of a dent on Carl Johnson, and then sort of another 4 seconds to Corey, another 4 seconds to Brad Palmer, another 4 seconds to Melith Ananiaki, and 2.5 to Zach Warren. So the top sort of 8 starting to spread out a little bit.
Yeah, this battle for the podium is the spicy one, but I wouldn't be surprised after the pit stops if we see Shady close back up to Lucas Keys. I was watching them battle it out a couple of times this week on the fruit bowls, and they had a couple of very nice battles. Respect and space given by both sides. So if for some reason, oh dear, is that O'Brien again?
Yeah,
in
very
the Caramel and McQuarrie, starting to really struggle on the McLaren's tyres there and get a couple of these corners wrong, and that's going to invite Ben Dyke again to have a little peek and another battle engaged in with Alfred Dunny this time.
Ben Dyke.
Ben Dyke probably just going to throw it in the pits here at this point. No, he's not. He's going to hang it out there. Well, he's going to hang it in there on the inside of the last corner, and he's probably just going to hang on to that one from Danny on the outside. Yeah, that AstroTurf's not going to do you any good, Danny.
One more lap of safety for Ben Dyke there. He's been busy. He's been a busy boy this race. And sometimes that's nice and sometimes it's not. And I think with the water, sometimes being able to sort of do your own thing for a little bit, it's nice to sort of clear the head a little bit. But we'll keep following this battle for the podium. Carl Johnson pretty wide on the exit of the chicane, and that's invited Ramez to get right up on the back and investigate the diffuser and rear wing of that Porsche. We'll see if he can maintain this closeness through the final sector. My favourite part about the Mercedes interior is it's still got the indicator stalk from the road car.
The what?
The indicator stalk on the side of the steering column.
It does too. Have a look at that. There you go. Tick-tock. That's a windscreen wiper and a indicator. That's very cool. There
All
you
in
go.
one.
Well
You only
spotted
get
by
one
you.
stalk on a Mercedes.
So if you're going to use your indicators, you're also going to turn your wipers on.
No, the wipers like sort of you push it in.
Oh, what an age we live in. It's an interesting battle because the Porsche is very good out of corners in the wet, and I think the Mercedes is very good into and around the corners in the wet. Oh dear. Oh, Carlos all over it. All over that from Carlos. That's a very, very intelligent piece of play there from Carlos Johnson. He saw that coming from a mile away. He opened the door and allowed Ramez to just fly on through there and then just got him back on the undercut. So he's not only avoided the damage and the collision, but he's also kept the position. That's high IQ stuff from Carlos.
Yeah, watch your radar, and here is the fire extinguisher without a service record.
That's expired. That one. That's out. Hang on a second. We're going to have to take that to the stewards, Ramez.
Car's not legal.
No, that'll be a post-race penalty for that one, I think. So Ramez now will be just a little bit scared to make that kind of move again. That's for sure. He'll have to think twice about the. That's the same sort of thing that happened to Peach, though, right? It wasn't necessarily an egregious move. He had a little look and then just realised too late that he was a bit late on the brakes. And it is so hard to get these cars pulled up on a wet track, and that's all it was. It wasn't anything super bad. He just sort of missed his brake marker. But again, Carlos, very well done there to open that door and avoid the collision for both of them. And yeah, very experienced stuff there from Carlos. But as I said, Ramez now will have to think very hard about whether he wants to attack that again, and whether he now pulls into the pits and tries an undercut or something instead.
And yeah, absolutely. Now, definitely doesn't take that opportunity this lap, but we've just seen Ben Dyke gets 10 seconds, and a little Easter egg from our broadcaster saying there's an Easter egg at the end of the paragraph. So we'll wait for him to throw it back so we can have another look.
Is it in Italian, this Easter egg? Because I'm not good at Easter eggs. The last
Failure
paragraph.
to follow the manufacturer's instructions will render this world lost forever to darkness.
Oh, wow. That's very dark.
That's brutal.
Goodness great. That's very philosophical.
Definitely.
We're all going to hell.
Italians have had a bit too much limoncello after lunch, you'd have to say. How good's limoncello, by the way?
I heard you had a fair bit too much after lunch today. You've done very well to pull it up and turn up tonight, just quietly.
Oh,
Carlos,
Carlos very sideways.
around turn 4. He's
Yeah, just,
sideways around turn 5 too. Look at him. That rear end is going first.
Saw the sun was out here in Melbourne for the first time in forever. Decided to go work from the pub after lunch.
Yeah, nice.
And a couple of mates joined me for a couple of half litres of beer. And it was someone's last day as well. So sort of kept on going after 4 p.m. Here we go. That is perfect.
Just
100
throw it
points,
in
whatever
there.
the drift scoring is.
And then he got a bit sideways around this next one too. He's very, very happy being sideways, is this man. He demonstrated it at Brands Hatch with some solid defence there. He did it at Silverstone too, where he's running on really old tyres. And now he's in the wet. Shady Samuel in the pits. Here we go. So this is the undercut play on Lucas Keys, who's still out there with the purple lap, which I believe is in the high 50s now, which is pretty good bloody pace. Carlos pulls into the pits. He's had enough of these tyres. And now Ramirez gets a little chance now to potentially throw in an overcut. How much pace has he got? Additional to Carlos Johnson.
I think Shady's made a bit of a boo-boo because that gap to Carlos in that picture there is definitely not what it was. And, oh no.
Oh, no.
Oh, Shady.
Okay, that's not an undercut on Lucas Keys. That is very unfortunate, is what that is. Crap. Sweet.
Unfortunate. But it puts his brother onto the podium. So there will still be a Samuel there. 888 has also pulled over. I'm not sure who 888 is off the top of my head. But some technical gremlins starting to come in. We obviously had Page, who started and was unable to take the start of the race. We're going to see here a pit entry in a Mustang. He's run out of fuel.
That's the Michael Babb line. No way! He's run out of fuel.
I reckon he's run out of fuel because no.
I reckon you're right. So he's done the Michael Babb pit entry, completely missed it, and then run out of fuel on the next lap. That's insane. Oh my goodness. If that's what's happened, Shady, come on, what are we doing? Oh my goodness.
Shady and pit lanes is almost as ubiquitous as Jamie Conboy and pit lanes. For those who aren't aware, when in the most recent Imola Enduro we had, I handed the car over to Shady and, gave him the countdown and, did the right thing and let him know when the car was ready. Shady had his wheel turned 360 degrees to the right. So the car really just janked right when I gave him the car.
Straight into the pit wall.
No, he managed to save it, thankfully. Pretty impressive. But
that's a sad night in the 191 garage. Peach out, Shady out.
Yeah. All of them are unfortunately victims of either self-inflicted or Kunos-inflicted issues.
That's pretty funny for Shady. Peach I feel bad for, but that's pretty funny for Shady.
It'll teach you for not practicing pit entries. As Ben Floyd there demonstrates the best way to do it.
Shows you how it's done. Look at that. He's very fast up to the line there too, as Ben Floyd. So it's a very good pit entry. Assuming he got that one pulled up in time, he looked very fast on the way in. Very nice entry. I wonder if that'll net him anything at all.
Brad Palmer as well into the pits. So, geez, that Lexus takes a bit of curb, doesn't it?
Yeah, I don't know what's allowed there, but that looked like too much. It looked like he had all 4 wheels off the curb. Definitely 4 wheels off the track. I know that's allowed, but I think he was maybe a little bit too much there. Anyway, we'll see.
Shady's back out and running. So I don't think it was a particularly technical issue.
Oh, good. Is he allowed to fill up? If you return to garage when you're out of fuel, does it fill you up? It just gives you the 2.5 minute wait time?
I think so. Not particularly keen to experiment on that, but
good on him for sticking it out if that's the case, because he's obviously lost his battle for P2. You'd forgive him for, maybe just pulling the pin for the night, and he's just put it back out there. Good on him.
Nothing else to do. Brad Palmer out of the pits there, and wait and sort of see after. We've got a bit of shuffling to do as these pits. Lucas Keys comes into the pits as well, the race leader. And we'll wait and see sort of what Ramirez does. So Ramirez obviously was battling with Carlos Johnson. Carlos is in some clean air, so That's not what Ramez wanted if you wanted to sort of do the overcut sort of thing. That'll be exactly what he wanted. So Corey Sweet also in the pits also. Ramez going a little bit long. I'm very keen to sort of see where these two come out relatively. Carl still just absolutely flinging that Porsche around like rear tyres are $5 a pop. Which is pretty cool to see, but...
How about Bluth up there, car 66 up there in P9 at the moment? I know we've still got some pit stops to shake out, but he was dead last. He was that first yellow flag we saw that was spun on the outside of turn 1. He was involved in that little fracas. And as I said, I know he's got some pit stops to go, but he's bloody up here in P9. So he's had a very tidy race since that initial unluckiness. Done very nicely to get himself back up here in the mix.
Ahead of a fair few people that are yet to stop as well. So we're still waiting for Ramez, Militano Niaki, Corey Bartlett, Randell, all in the pits, Brickley in the pits. So O'Brien yet to pit, Bluth yet to pit, Reel, Floyd, Underwood, Graham and Gosling all yet to pit so far. Ramez just enjoying his time in the limelight, hanging out at the front of the field, liking seeing that P1 next to his name, hoping for a red flag.
This is the bender of all bender strats, pissing down rain, currently last to pit up there in P1. This is how you bend a strat. Nice work, Ramez. What's more to space is Lucas Keesian. Here he is up into the chicane. He's only got the one car in front of him. He's got more space than the Space Factory. NASA calling him to let him know that he's in all of the space. So he'll be enjoying that, but he'll also know now that Shady's not chasing him for P2. So with Shady out of the action, and also with the news that, Page is out as well. And as we said, we've discussed what's happened to Page and the implications that'll have for the championship. That's pretty disappointing for him if indeed that's the way it's going to play out. Lucas is having quite the night.
Absolutely, and at this point now for him, it's just don't get a drive-through for track limits. And track limits are a bit easier in these wet conditions. They're a bit more brutal in terms of just those tiny little accidental drifting wide on that exit of that corner we're jumping through with Corey. Ramez in the pits. And Lucas has just gone past him now, so that gap is done. We're here with Carlos Johnson coming through the second last corner. This traffic's starting to come up for Carl. He's managed to make a huge amount of time up on Bluth, who's come into the pits. Ramez is moving. Carlos is coming around the last corner. This will be close.
I reckon Ramez has got him pretty well covered. He's at the top of the pit lane, is Ramez.
He's closing pretty quickly. And Carlos has got his tyres up to temperature already as well. So that's a pretty huge thing. That overcut has worked an absolute treat for Ramez. He's put some absolute cracker laps in. And now it is Porsche versus Mercedes backwards.
There you go, Carlos. So now the work in front of him, if he wants to pinch that P2 back, he is still on the podium, but I don't think he'll be too pleased having the overcut performed on him. And now with these nice new tyres on the Porsche, he'll get the bit between the teeth, I reckon, here, Carlos, and he'll think this is a pretty good bloody battle he'll want to be involved in. Watch out for this one.
And Corey Sweet as well, just behind, less than 2 seconds. He's more than halved the gap that he had before the pit stops as well. So this might become a three-way sooner rather than later. We know Corey is plenty fast enough for it to be a three-way. So we'll wait and sort of see how this ends up panning out for the next 20 or so minutes. Hold on to your seats, hold on to your hats, hold on to anything you can find, because this is going to be peak entertainment.
Carlos sending it. These are new tyres, but he's already sideways, so he's throwing it into these corners. But in doing so, you can just see Ramez just getting away from him a little bit, even over the course of this first lap. As you said, Tom, Ramez still getting these tyres up to pressure, and Carlos probably already there. So the fact that Ramez has already gapped him by a couple of car lengths suggests that he really does have the pace in that Mercedes to get away from Carlos here over the next couple of laps. And if I was Carlos, I certainly wouldn't want Corey Sweet and Ralahi also coming up behind me.
Through. And Ben Floyd still yet to pit as well. But if there's any indications of the gap Lucas Keys has, he's currently going through turn 2. And his competition for P2 and 3 just coming up into turn 1 now. So Lucas is just cruising. That gap from Carlos to Corey Sweet isn't really shrinking particularly quickly. And I think as well, just sort of having sort of that benefit of the new tyres, or the sort of the warmer tyres in the middle sector here, where it's so hard to follow and so hard to pass. It's probably the worst case scenario if you are going to be able to put a move on. So interesting sort of see what lap times Ramez was pulling out sort of in that overcut, because he must have been absolutely flying, because Carlos was in completely clean air. There was no traffic really for him.
Yeah, maybe that's just the pace that he had under the belt. We saw him have a go into turn 1. It was a pretty aggressive move, and maybe he was trying to get that one done because he just thought, you know what, I've got all this extra pace that is going to waste sitting here, and now that he's got the gloves off and got those laps in, we're starting to see the fruits.
Saxon Hayes with a drive-through penalty for track limits.
Unlucky, Gaston. Unlucky.
Hopefully he didn't get one of those warnings for being bumped off track by Mr. Van Dyke.
It is a good corner for it too, actually. You might be right. That would be rough. You said before they're very harsh here. They are extremely harsh. You go off track, you get one for looking at the wall funny, especially in the wet. Because it's
Did you get one when you went off?
Yeah, I got 2 in one corner at one point. They are very, very strenuous here at Hungary, even in the dry. And because obviously it's very hard to post a fast lap, which is sort of what dictates whether you get warnings or not later on into the race. You get no time gained if you go off track and your previous purple lap is a good, solid, fast purple lap. Because it's so hard to set that kind of hot pace in the wet, it can be even stricter. So it's very rough here.
So then Carlos has decided to get all over the back of that Mercedes once again. So he's managed to gather up everything and just get a move on, and he's all over the back of Ramez now. So this will be well worth watching for the next few minutes. He's still just absolutely wringing the neck of that Porsche. And Corey Sweet, not sure, has the pace to keep up with these guys. Relahi drive through. They're starting to come thick and fast now. That is a free position for a couple of cars behind him. So that'll put Brad Palmer up into P5. That is an excellent result for Brad there. Yeehaw.
Yeehaw? What?
Oh, Carl was just absolutely just sliding all the way through that corner.
Yeah. Well, he said what my brain was thinking. Were we watching the same thing? What? We were. Okay. He's absolutely throwing it. I said that Ramez might just get away from him here, but he's certainly not letting him get away, is he? Carlos is all over the back of him now.
And this is where the Porsche is really good on the exit of that last corner. It doesn't get too much of the AstroTurf on the outside, so he hasn't got a particularly good run here, but Ramez will also be thinking about going as wide as he did. There we go, nice. Ben Floyd finally decides to get a new set of boots. That'll drop him out of the top 5. And so, as going back to what I was saying before, you know, Ramez will be thinking about the way that he centered on Carl. Not completely without valid reason, but it was pretty ambitious. Luckily, both drivers intelligent enough not to make it any worse than it had to be. So Carlos will know that Ramez is pretty happy to send it, and he might sort of feel with 5 or so minutes to go that if he sees the tiniest little window of opportunity, he might just sort of poke his nose in. That was incredible car control there from Carl Johnson.
Puts a smile on your face, doesn't it? It's so hard not to watch this and just have fun. And it must be so much fun for him too. He's just so good at it.
He used to run no force feedback. Was the original Carl Johnson back when he used to drive with the Kovacs Purple Boys a couple of years ago. So This is normal for him. He's not relying on any information from his steering wheel. He's just watching whatever the screen's doing and just sort of working it out when he gets there. Lucas Keys just stamping his authority on this race.
Yeah, no one's going to match that now, I don't think. Although Floyd, now with fresh tyres and very low fuel, depending on how much space he gets in, he had pace for top 5 in qualifying, so maybe Ben Floyd could pinch it off him if he gets enough space. But yeah, the 50.8 to top 50.9 that he got in the first stint is, yeah, very quick.
If you're Peach, do you rejoin the race to just quickly throw in a purple lap, take a couple of championship points off your rival?
Do it, Peach. You wouldn't do it.
Do it, Peach.
Just get in there. Just pinch the purple.
Just do it.
Let's do it.
Throwback to Spa 24-hour when Philippa Bakita came in about 3 in the morning when the track is at its absolute fastest and did a 2:15.4 or something stupid. And the next fastest lap was like a 16.8, something like that. Carl Johnson again wagging the tail. That is Zach Graham facing the wrong way on the exit of turn 3 there.
Unlucky Soapy. Here he is.
Grab a replay.
Outside curb, AstroTurf. Whoop.
Bonk. Nice little neat 720 there for the camera. Peach, Lucas should really bin the race in the name of the championship. I agree.
That's the very good shout. For all of us out here in content land, I think that's an excellent shout. Both of you are 120 points clear of Shady Samuel, who's also down in the points. So, like, really, it's Ben Floyd, and he's 230 points behind. Absolutely. He should absolutely do it.
You wouldn't, Lucas. He's been unchallenged this race.
Don't put it in the wall. In the name of professionalism, just pull into the pits nice and calmly and just pull it out. Just do it. Ah, someone get his ear.
Run the end of the race. Pit, put dries on, TC 0, and run to the end of the race.
That's also a good shout.
I think that's what the viewers want. So,
Carl Johnson's best lap is a 51.6. That can't be right. Carl Johnson's best lap, according to that shot right there, is a 51.6. Oh, no, it's 50.8. Sorry, I thought that's like 2 tenths. Yeah, my apologies. Carlos is fucking 2 tenths quicker than Lucas. Never mind.
Possible.
51.6 still very handy, by the way. I'm not sort of saying that's. I just thought I'd seen a bit of a bug occur, but that's no. I'm ready for bed apparently.
Ralhi's taken his drive-through. We've got Brad Gosling down there also with a drive-through penalty for track limits. So these wet conditions, as we said before, they're harsh for the track limits. And some tired minds, some tired brains starting to get a little bit lazy and maybe pushing some limits.
Corey Sweet just not quite catching up to the back of these two as quick as I thought maybe he would. And I think that's more to do with how quickly these guys are driving. It's nothing to do with Corey. Corey's pace is pretty solid, but these two are just going hammer and tong, trying to stay away from him. Rama's just pulling Carlos through, and Carlos doing his utmost to... He wants P2 here, let alone hanging on to this P3. But the two of them together just maintaining and, in fact, stretching through those first couple of mini sectors, this gap to Corey Sweet. So really good pace here from Ramez and Carlos in P2 and 3 respectively.
52s are motoring. I'd love to see what Ramez's best lap as well is, because that 51.6 from Carl is a very, very handy lap time. And he's very, very close to the back of the Mercedes now. Ramez not having the best final sector. Carl, a little bit of a drift on the way out, but he's pretty close. Not really close enough.
He definitely was coming out of the corner, but you're right, just too much of that AstroTurf on the outside and all sorts of wobbles sort of ruined any momentum he had. So both of them with 51.6s to answer your question, both going very, very quickly.
Two equally matched drivers in different machinery, both with their own little quirks and flaws and benefits, and all different cars doing different things. So I think that that Porsche is very, very good through the middle sector, and the AMG is just good enough through the last sector to stretch that gap out a little bit. So we'll see Carl again drifting that Porsche. Like rear tyres don't cost a cent through turn 4.
BOP working perfectly. It really does. We give it a lot of shit because at some places it's a bit weird and it's a bit funky, but it does a really good job of opening up manufacturer choices for all of our drivers. And it's no longer a series of BMWs or a series of McLarens. Look at all the different manufacturers in the top 10. We're watching a battle here for P2 between two different... It's just that it is BOP working as intended. It is not perfect, but it is very, very good. And I'm glad we brought it in and we utilise it.
Has the BOP in the Ford at Bathurst, though, JC. He did some LFM hoovering up over the past week.
Yes, I did. I'll abuse it. I'll abuse it when it's there.
You opened up that deposit box on the ELO bank and you went nom nom nom.
Absolutely drank it up. Yep, and I will do every time Bathurst comes back. That's where I'll be. Don't worry about practicing for Hungary. You'll know where I'll be.
He's racing his way up to past 4,000 ELOs. Is Mr. Convoy absolutely almost the highest ELO ranked driver in Australia behind the world-renowned Dirk Donk.
Where is Dick Donkey? He's supposed to be in here. What? He hasn't turned up for a couple of weeks. That makes me sad. He was another one who... And freaking Hooly Ham, we was excited to have him back for a couple of rounds there, and he's buggered off as well.
Zach Smith as well was here for one round.
Yeah, and Smithy as well. It was such a really good-looking split at the start, and a couple of those fast boys have just sort of dropped off and turned this into a real two-horse race. It could have been a proper battle for the championship. I just don't know whether they saw that Peach got away to a nice early run and they gave up, or what the deal is now, but I don't know. Anyway, a bit disappointing.
Come back for the last round and just absolute chaos in the championship. It was close, please, boys.
Do it. Yeah, all of them turn up for Spa. Isn't that an endurance race? 90 minutes?
I think so.
I think so.
Last round, winner takes all. So all points down to 0.
Yep, Peach would appreciate
Peach,
that.
This round didn't matter. Nothing matters.
It's all internet points anyway.
Just a quick shout out. Pete Viney, P10. That is a very, very good little comeback from Mr. Tarquin. Keeping his nose clean and just rolling through, letting everyone else make some mistakes in front of him. So that is a very good result for Pete Viney. Ahead of his good mate Scott Rochford there in P11 as well. So very, very good to see. A couple of very, very nice results. We're here on board with Saxon Hayes, who's battling with Zach Jensen. Not much is getting past that Mustang in a straight line, but Saxon's going to go around the outside of turn 1. That'll be an impressive move if he can pull it off. But
oh, is there a bump there? I think there was a bit of a bump there. I think Saxon just gave him a bit of a kiss on the arse there as they came out of turn 1. I saw the Ford just have a bit of a shake. I reckon if we got to replay that one, Saxon's going to have another go here. These two good mates in Fruit Bowl, and they've done plenty of side-by-side battling in their time, so just going at it again here. It's a little bit different when there's fake internet points on the line, so we're interested to see here which one of them backs out. Neither of them do. Look at this. Is great, respectful stuff here from these two. This is what happens when you practice side-by-side racing throughout the week. You get this kind of stuff when the cookie crumbles. Great stuff from Zach holding on to his position there, and Saxon doing all the right things and not quite finding the way through. That's never mind.
And here's the battle for P2 and P3 as well, as they do a very good job of getting out of the way.
that was just helping him through with the blue flags, I believe, is what that was. It's very, very well done from Saxon. Very polite.
Oh, that's a spinning in the background as well. That was Corey Sweet going around. He's got 12 seconds to Brad Palmer. Yeah.
He'll be fine. Well, that puts paid to Corey Sweet's chance at getting a podium anyway with 5 minutes to go. Whee! Just watching all the fun going on. Oh, I know you said it was 12 seconds, but he's got to get that turned around. He was facing backwards. I don't know whether he stalled it or lost power or something there, but he's...
I think what the gap between Sweet and Palmer, it's 4 seconds, so he's managed to get it pointing in the right direction. And Carlos tries the reverse entry into the last corner, not particularly effectively.
Yeah, I was going
to
point
out
out
from you, Friction.
Blake Randall, absolutely. I didn't want to curse him earlier on. We were talking about him earlier on, about 10 minutes in the race, saying he'd had a good qualifying and started off the race very well, and now sitting pretty up here in P9. This would be his personal best as well, so a couple of good results. I'll tell you what, Johnny Hislop there in P13 as well. He started way back in the AM class battle and has moved his way up into P13, so that's a very good effort from him. We're talking about our pro-ams, obviously, with Ramez up there in P2, but Malith Adanyake having a very good race as well, so a couple of very, very nice results here. Oh, hang on.
That's
Where are
not
you
the
going?
line, Brad. That is not the line.
Oh, dear. What on earth has happened there? That looked like a hardware failure or something. Oh, that's Annie there as well, getting passed by our man Johnny Hislop in the Bloodspot Porsche. This is a beautiful livery. This is clearly a red livery when it's raining and a very orange livery when it's in the sun. This livery does funny things, and I'm all for it. Don't know what happened to Annie there, though, so that's Johnny Hislop up in a P12. Nice work, Giuffatelli, having a very good race.
Good shout from Austin McNeil as well after a very well-deserved P3 in that last race that Mike Crick up to P15 after being last after a bit of a whoopsie. And Annie's got a bit too much of the AstroTurf and just gives the wall a very, very gentle kiss. 3 minutes to go. Lucas Keys is at the apex of turn 1 now. There'll be one more lap after this. And Saxon is all over the back of Zach Jensen again. Ready to resume rivalries after not... They had such a clean run through turn 2, 3 and 4 and then made a bit of a meal of it into the chicane. But we'll see how the Audi goes. Here's Saxon gets a 10-second slap on the wrist from the stewards. So it won't mean anything, but he's going to have a crack anyway. And he's got it sent up the inside into turn 1.
Oh, the switchback, Zach. He's going to have a go at it. He's got a nice drive out of there. And he's got him back. Nice work. Good driving, Zach. That's very handy. I think Saxon just saw the 10-second penalty come up, and now he's just
nose up again,
ending it into these corners now. A little bit of a red mist has happened here for Saxon Hayes, and he said, bugger you, I'm going to start sending this through now. He's got the move done eventually, but he will lose it with only 2 minutes to go. He's probably going to not make up 10 seconds, so Zach will hang on to that one.
Blake Randell here, P9, the lead-am driver, has just over 0.6 of a second to Pete Viney. This is a battle for some pretty significant points for those guys. Mike Crick here defending from Ben Floyd. I didn't see myself making that sentence come out of my mouth when I started commentating this race, but he's doing a sterling job at the moment is Mr. Crick. And just behind them, Lucas Keys crosses the line to start the final lap of this race. He's been pretty imperious so far. And we've got Pete Tarquin on board here.
Oh, my Lord.
Pull it up.
Oh, jeepers. Yeah, he couldn't see much going into turn 1 there, old Tarks, with the amount of spray. That McLaren came up on him very, very quickly, and I thought he was just going to go straight into the arse of him there, but managed to stay out of his rear end and tidy all that up nicely. He's hanging on to P10. He's got 12 seconds to Brickley, so it'll take a pretty significant error if he was to lose that. Cricky here still defending valiantly from Floydie. See what I did there? I know you like that one.
Very good from you.
Cricky is going to be sweating, I assure you. He's done very well to get up here in a P15, and he will want to hold on to it, but Floyd here is all over the back of him. He's all sorts of in his mirrors, he is. And, yeah, as you said, Lucas on the last lap. These guys got 2 to go, so 1.5 to go. Cricky's got some work ahead of him.
Absolutely, and I think Cricky will have been hoping that Lucas was about 5 seconds faster and could have been a lap ahead at this point, just to save him that extra lap of that Mustang climbing all over his mirrors. There's no better way to learn to defend than to have, with 2 laps to go, a driver as fast and experienced as Ben Floyd climbing all over the back of you, just waiting for you to make a mistake and leave the door just a crack open. And that's Mitch Bendyke just in front of Mike Crick as well. So one more lap for these boys. We'll let them run down the start-finish straight. I don't think that's enough of a run for Ben Floyd to get a move into turn 1. We'll have a look at Lucas Keys, though, who has controlled this race from start to finish and crosses the line for a very, very well-deserved victory. Comfortably ahead at the moment of Ramez Samuel. Mike Crick still in front of Ben Floyd out of turn 1. It's a long old wait. Ramez Samuel's just coming through the second to last corner, entering the last corner now. Ben Floyd is going to have a think about the outside, runs a bit too wide.
He carries so much speed, Ben Floyd, through these corners. Ramez Samuel, nice work, P2. Carlos not quite able to get him, but hangs on for a podium, does Carlos Johnson. So he'd be very happy with that. Nice work to Ramez and Carlos, both of those guys with very impressive performances. And Sweet Palmer and Adanyake are going to come across 4, 5, and 6.
Very, very good drives from all of those guys. Brad Palmer, the second in the silver class. Adanyake, second in the Pro-Am class. It's very strange having to say second when they're P6 in the Pro-Am class. But that is a shout out to how good Ramez was. Oh, he spooked you off the apex.
He has, yeah. That's very well done from Ben Floyd. He picked his spot and he just opened the door gently. And as you said, just kind of spooked Cricky off the apex. Oh, and then Cricky tried to send it back on him, but that's not how you do it. But that's fine. He'll play on. Floyd will hang on. I was going to say
across the line, so he can't be passed by anyone. That
Floyd,
16th
one
place
of
is all
our
his.
cleanest races is Ben Floyd, and he's just absolutely nailed that move and then manages to hang on to it as well. So good stuff from Benny, finishing P15 there.
So Mike Crick will be the last car over the line, P16, and that is round 6 of Split Red at Hungaroring. We'll take one last quick look at the result. Especially, it'll be interesting to sort of see the pro class because no one was in order. No one at all. In the all right. In the pro class, Lucas Keys P1, Corey Sweet P2, and Ralahi after the drive-through ends up P3. Ben Floyd P4, all the way down in 15th place. We'll jump over to silver class, and that'll be Carl Johnson P1, Brad Palmer P2, and David Bartlett P3. Pro-Am, Ramez Samuel, a very well-deserved P2 overall, P1 Pro-Am, Maneth Ananayaki P2, Pete Viney P3. And the AM class, Blake Randell P1, Rob Brickley P2, and Mr. Hislop in P3.
Some really strong performances there. Yeah, absolutely. It was very entertaining all the way through. We said that at the start. We said it was going to be a pretty entertaining watch, and I was a bit disappointed when Page dropped out and a few drivers from the front dropped to the back. I thought maybe it might just sort of peter out that race, but other than Lucas, as you said, imperiously stamping his authority on that race, it was pretty handy to watch. The battle for P2, a couple of battles throughout the top 10. It was a good one to watch.
Shout out as well to that chocolate livery round. We'll be back to normal programming next week at the Nürburgring non-Nordschleife, as we now have to specify. Looking forward to that race. It'll be 75 minutes. Jamie Conboy, thank you so much for coming along. It was a pleasure as always.
Thank you, Tom Maloney. Always a pleasure with you, mate. And thank you to Ben Hignett behind the cameras. And, of course, to our friends at Simrigs and everyone else that gets behind the Octane Online Racing Sprint Series. Until tomorrow, when you can watch the North American split, that'll be it. Have a good night.
Everyone.